There's no crying in miniature painting on the podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic, where the Tendy Terminators invade the nearest Raising Canes.
Nice.
The Tendinators.
So the question is for the Tendinators is what is their paint scheme? What's the insignia on their shoulders? Is it just fried chicken texture on one shoulder pad?
Oh, just like chicken skin?
Yeah, it's like kind of bumpy and crispy and brown.
Gosh, that is a good question.
It's got to be red, right? Got to include red and yellow, Cane's colors.
Yeah. And it's got to integrate the Trapped Under Plastic colors. So then we can utilize it for merch shoulder patches. So you need both like the small insignia for like a chest patch or shoulder patch, and then you need the large full back patch insignia. You're having troubles with your mic.
I'm having mic problems indeed. Okay. So
I don't want you to hold that the whole time.
I'm gonna hold it the whole time like this.
Like an ice cream cone. I'm gonna do Ben and Jerry's this shit for the next 2 hours.
All right. Brief technical pause.
No, you're gonna fix it, and I'm gonna talk about sweet lemonade.
Okay. This is not a reference to an old YouTube video?
It is. Sweet lemonade, sweet, sweet lemonade. Look at my horse. My horse is amazing. Give it a lick.
Woo!
Tastes just like raisins. If you don't get that reference, you're not as old.
You're a Zoomer.
Yeah, you're not as old as you will be one day.
Facts.
I drank like 2 big, like, I don't know, 16, 20-ounce bottles of lemonade on the drive up here.
You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it 30 minutes.
I'm not going to make it. I'm going to have to pee so much, and I peed right before we started. There's this sugar-free lemonade from Sam's Club. And I don't know if your parents are like this. Maybe it's just because I'm diabetic, so ever since I was a little kid, if I ever, like, my parents, their number one goal in life, even though I'm over 40 years old, is to, like, get me food and ensure that I always have enough food. So one time I'm at my parents', I was processing venison. So I was using the grinder, and we ground up, I don't know, 200 pounds of venison burger for the year. And they had one of these in the fridge, and I was like, "Oh, what's this lemonade?" My mom's like, "It's sugar free. You can have it." So I drank the thing. I'm like, "Damn, that was pretty good lemonade." The next time I see them, they show up with 2 cases of this lemonade from Sam's Club because it comes in the big case of it from Sam's Club. I'm like, "Oh," and they're like, "We were just at Sam's Club," because they live, out in the fucking middle of nowhere, and so when they make their trek to come do shopping, they actually have to like drive by my house in the country outside of town. And so on their way back, whenever they like go grocery shopping, they always miraculously find something for us. And for us, I mean me usually. They always usually get my daughter something too, like little Debbie's or something.
Okay.
But they came with 2 cases of this stuff.
Nice.
And so now I got to roll through this.
Okay. You don't have to.
I mean, I'm choosing to.
Yeah.
Have you been to a Sam's Club lately?
Lately, no.
Are your parents Sam's Club people?
No.
Okay.
Amber's parents are.
Oh yeah, that checks out.
I mean, it does. Like her kinds of parents, and I think your parents would definitely be similar.
Yeah. I gathered that from what I know of her parents.
They like to go on the boat on the weekend, do some fishing, they like to do some ice fishing, and like to do all sorts of stuff like that.
They're good, hardworking, dirt in their fingernails Midwesterners.
God damn, you're right.
Yeah,
indeed.
And those people are Sam's Club people. Yeah. I grew up as a Sam's Club person. This was before I think even Costco even existed. But now that my city has both.
Hell yeah, dude. Costco.
I went, I can't remember what it was. It was like a year ago. I went into Sam's Club for the first time in like 10, 15 years with my parents. Because I took them somewhere. Like my dad had a doctor appointment or something. So I took them around town. And we went to Sam's Club. And I'm like, it's like fucking haunted house Costco. Any time of year, there's like half the lights are flickering.
Sam's Club is haunted house.
Yeah, it's just like it's like slightly sketch. There's certain like aisles that seem like back alleys because they're dimly lit.
That's kind of Walmart in general,
Oh,
Walmart,
man.
Sam's Club, same owners, right?
Yeah. Sam Walton, R.I.P.
He's not alive anymore. R.I.P. Sam Walton.
Yeah, I mean, the Walmart that Sam Walton invented was a good Walmart. Like, it was innovative. It was nice. I worked there when I was.
Oh, yeah?
I worked at Walmart. It was my first like real job at 16 years old.
TV department?
No, I was paper goods and chemicals.
Paper goods
and chemicals.
What's the chemical you handled at Walmart?
Bleach, dish soap, laundry detergent.
Did you ever make like any impromptu bombs while working for Walmart?
No, it wasn't those kind of chemicals. It was mostly, I mean, there was probably harsh things in there that we now probably realize we shouldn't put on our clothes and our skin. But, Bounce, Dawn, Bounty, those kinds of brands. But the best job was you'd have to go way up high on like these tall ladders or in the back on the forklifts and stuff to get down the big pallets of toilet paper and paper towels because they're like huge, but they're light. So they have them up high. I almost killed a lady at one point because I'm way up.
Pause. You said this was the best part, the most fun part of working at Walmart?
Yeah, the most fun part is almost murder.
Can we get a picture of 16-year-old John like right here? Oh, God. Can you supply that to the podcast?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I had a sweet butt cut, and it was just like long. Man, it was a thing of beauty. All the Walmart ladies that were working there came howling. So
the ones that didn't almost get killed by you, apparently.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, I got a story for another day from a Mormon girl that worked at Walmart that had the hots for me. Anyway.
Fuck, dude.
But they're way up high, and then the ladder is like a 20-foot ladder, or it's like a staircase thing, like. There is like a staircase that you move around and, weighed a metric ton, but you'd go up the staircase thing way up high to the 25-foot top of the shelves. And even from up there, they stacked them so high that like I could hardly reach them. Some of my tippy toys trying to grab this giant thing of paper towels. And it fell. And it's like a 2x9, so it's like 18 rolls. And it got out of my fingertips and it fell. And this lady, she couldn't have been more than 4.5 feet tall because she was all spine was curved from scoliosis, like a fucking upside down J. And it was like 4 inches from just landing on her head, doof, right next to her. Good news. She was deaf as fuck.
Oh.
Didn't even break a stride. Didn't blink. That whole thing went doof right next to her, and I looked down, and my eyes got so big, and I was making sure nobody else was around.
Dude, that could have been a situation with a Karen,
Right, yeah. But just sweet little old lady, middle of the day on a Tuesday. It was great.
Deaf as a bat.
Dude, this is back when Star Wars Episode 1, A Phantom Menace came out.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, dude, and I had a guy that was he worked there, and he's a big nerd, too. And what he would do is he worked toy department. That was a fucking dream right there, dude. You gotta be there for a while. He was like 18, but he'd been working there since he was 16. That's how he got to be toy department.
Yeah, sick.
I remember this. When those toys were coming out for the Star Wars Episode 1, action figures, what we would do is because there was only one Darth Maul per case. Okay, so you get a case, and it was a big case of the toys, but there's only one Darth Maul per case. And I don't know why he knew this, but he knew it. So we'd go through it to stock after the store closed, because this was back before Walmart was 24 hours. It closed at 10. This is good, wholesome Walmart, right? 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., motherfuckers. And it solves most of Walmart's problems, I'm going to be honest with you. Just have regular ass hours. But so after store closed and we were doing stock, I'd always go over and help them. And we'd go through like 6 cases of Star Wars toys, and we pull out Darth Mauls and we buy them ourselves.
What?
Yeah. So we each had, I think to this day, I have like 4 Darth Mauls, because he told me, he's like, that's where the money is. These are the collector ones. There's only one per case, and he's the clutch bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Little did we know that Darth Maul did not live on in infamy through the Star Wars franchises until he got fucking spider legs or some shit.
Didn't he, though?
And, dude, I remember I paid like $5.99 for each of those. I checked like last year, there were $10.
Oh, no. Okay, I was going to say, he is a very popular Star Wars character, so that it could be that he is. It's funny you gave, or someone else gave you advice on like a cool toy to buy that would be worth more money later. Someone also gave me advice on a cool toy to buy that'd be worth money later. Giant terrain kit made by GW.
That was me.
This ringing bells. I still have it. It's right over there. It's probably actually worth money. I actually have never looked to see if it has accumulated value, but it's that big skull wizard tower.
Yeah, Castle Grayskull looking fucking thing.
Yeah, but knowing GW though, they're just gonna re-release it with like a different name, and like maybe a little bit more Bojangles on it.
I don't know, because that was back. I think that was when they were still doing the trinkets in house, so they were much more rare. And now it's all outsourced to China, all their plastic terrain stuff. That thing, it's bothering me. I can't think of the name of it is, but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna hold pat. I think that thing is valuable. And if you don't want it, I will buy it from you, and I'll make a video out of it.
All right,
but you should make a video out of it. That's just like
painting a giant,
like ruining the most rare Games Workshop terrain or something like that. And then you just use house paint on it in a big dry brush. I mean, you don't have to go that silly, but like just do something cool with it. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I would love some more painted terrain in my collection in general. I think that'd be really cool. I think the greatest skill of this podcast is we are just pro bullshitters, and I don't think you guys understand how much I'm holding back from just like just responding to everything he's saying, because we will never get through this podcast if I do. Like there are so many things that float into my head while you're speaking, and it's like we haven't even gotten to the preamble ramble yet.
I know. I was mostly just trying to buy time for you fixing your mic, and then that went from Lemonade to Sam's Club to Walmart to working at Walmart to Star Wars action figures
to Mormons.
To Mormons.
Almost to
Mormons. That's a story for another day. Put a comment down below if you want the full Mormon story.
Are you the kind of person who, when you're on that giant retail stairway ladder thing, you got your safety belt on? Is that for losers only?
Oh no, we didn't even have that back then. This is like 2000. No. Yeah, no. You were supposed to take a class to run the forklift too, and I never did that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The first mistake I ever made working at Walmart. And this is a pro tip. If you ever watch the show Superstore, which you should watch because it's a fucking great TV show, it's the same thing that Garrett purposely does in that show. Never get trained to work on the checkout. If they never train you,
then you can't ever go up help.
Right? And they ever go call up for checker help.
Bro tip.
I was, young buck just trying to do nice, trying to help the man. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll get trained on that. And they fucking call you up. God damn it. It was the most miserable thing being checkout, bitch. I hated it so much.
Never did that at Best Buy. I did ring out like computers and warranties and stuff. I never had to go to the actual checkout area and help out.
Same. So we had our own little islands.
Yep.
You had your own little kiosk island. I had my own one in home theater. Yep. Yeah. But most of the time what I'd try to do, I'd still try to send them. I'd walk them up front. That's the whole thing. I get them all signed up for the warranty and all that extra shizzle. Make sure they buy that extra $29 HDMI cable that's 4 feet long, right? And then you take them up front, and you got the paperwork and everything, and you just fucking hand them off to James up there.
Yep.
Go get him, James.
Take across the finish line, James.
Yeah, make sure my name is on that warranty. Not that I made any money off of it.
Right, I didn't make commission at Best Buy. I don't know if the TV department did.
No, fuck no.
Yeah.
That's why they were big money makers for the store. Appliances were number one. Did you ever know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, for all Best Buy stores, appliances are number one revenue generators. But yeah, we were computers and home theater were not far behind, and they were the other ones. They didn't make any money is fucking DVDs and CDs and shit and video games.
Computers as well, cameras sometimes. It's all about them cables, them SD cards, them warranties.
Get that Dynex brand, bro.
Anything that was like a big box item did not make a bunch of money. It was all about the accessories. Also, I want to throw myself under the bus. Earlier, I said, as deaf as a bat, bats are not deaf. They are the opposite of deaf. They're blind and they can hear super well.
Right.
And
sonar too.
Yeah,
they have sonar.
So they hear so well. They see through sonar.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to say that. Okay. Anyways, on to the preamble rambling. You notice I'm not wearing glasses right now. If you're watching the hobby version of the podcast, I'm wearing contacts. I've been wearing contacts the last week because at volleyball I took a ball straight to the face when I went up to block. Got my head over the net. Nice. And it snapped my glasses right in half.
Oh man, at least it was a clean break.
Yeah, it was.
Shards in your eyeball.
I lost it. I don't know where one half of it is. So I had to play the rest of the game with no glasses on, which was kind of a fun experience. But yeah, I've been wearing contacts the last couple of days, and it's fucking miserable. I hate it.
Dude, I hate contacts.
I ordered glasses immediately, like the next day, and I've been wearing these contacts ever since. And man, by the end of the day, my eyeballs are just crusty little spheres, and they're red. And I get like a headache sometimes. It's not nice.
You ever notice things as you get older that like you just did when you were younger, and you realize like your body's telling you that like that's not something you're supposed to do, and then when you're older and wiser, you're like, yeah, why am I doing this? We're not meant to have these little fucking silicone orbs in our eyeballs all day. That's not meant to be.
Right.
You know, your body is fighting you the whole time. And the only reason it's not is after you get acclimated with so much. It's like, oh, fuck, he's going to keep doing it anyway. I'm just going to shut up about it. But still.
That's your body talking to you.
Yeah, it's your body. Like, when you take them out, they're just like, they're so dry.
Yep.
Oh, my eyes are just like. But one of the best feelings in the world, and I'll hold true to this, one of the best possible feelings you can have as a human being is taking your contacts out after a long day and rubbing your eyes. God damn, that feels like heaven. I assume that's what heaven feels like all the time. Is just your whole body being rubbed like eyes.
Like sore eyeballs.
Like sore.
One of the best feelings in the world, people. You heard it here.
Yeah, because you can't rub your eyes like that when you got contacts in.
Yeah, you can't. I do it all the time.
No, because my contact would just be like way up in the fucking nether region, up behind my skull. It's in my brain. I can't do that.
Gets in that optical nerve, dude.
Yeah. I dig deep with that rubbing.
That's what you got to do. We're putting contacts on the wrong sides of our eyeballs. We got to put it on the back side, so it's inside our skull, constantly there, adjusting our vision.
You need full coverage, full orbal coverage.
Yeah, dude.
You need to pop the eyeball out, stick it all the way around like a roll of duct tape, and then put it back in. And then
my whole eyeball.
Yeah, there should be like a layer of like UV resin you put around your eyeball. Contact lens resin.
That's the next innovation in 3D printing right there.
Oh yeah,
contact resin.
I'm sure one of these 3D printing brands from China will get that figured out real quick.
Real quick. Eyeball safe 3D printable resin.
Man, this podcast has started off just on point.
I know it has.
I wrote down Girl Scouts know what the fuck they're talking about.
I don't think they do.
I went to Fleet Farm like every red-blooded American does last weekend. And as I'm leaving Fleet Farm with my dog food, my raw hides, and flannel shirt.
And some, big unmarked chocolate candy in a giant-ass bag.
Absolutely. Chocolate-covered peanuts, motherfucker.
Yes.
Some just random-ass jerky from a guy named Doug.
Yeah.
That's what I get at Fleet Farm. I did stop and look at the Milwaukee tool aisle. I always do.
They got Milwaukee at Fleet Farm?
Fuck yeah, they do.
Okay.
They don't fuck around. They know good stuff. They got this DeWalt bullshit too, but if you know, you know. Okay. So I'm leaving, and you go. There's double doors on the exit. First doors, it's Minnesota, so you gotta have double doors for wintertime, so then they can keep the cold out. And in between, right, it's where during the holiday season they're ringing them goddamn bells. Salvation Army is doing their thing, but in the Girl Scout cookie season, that's where they lie in wait, like little urchins. In the depths, darkest, dampest parts of the store, waiting to pounce on you in your most carnal urges for Girl Scout cookies. And it was my first experience of the season, and these fuckers got me.
They got you.
They got me. They didn't make me spend $30 on Girl Scout cookies, but I spent $30 on Girl Scout cookies.
Dude, it's probably going to a good cause buying Girl Scout cookies, but I just can't bring myself to spend that much money on them cookies. They make knockoff Girl Scout cookies now.
I know that they're basically as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keebler's got that shit unlocked now. I know that. I know that. And also there's been like stories about like how little and how much money they make, how little goes to the Girl Scouts and the shitty like questionable quality control of those cookies because they're not sold in a store. There's all sorts of stuff, but who knows? Maybe it's just bullshit on the internet. Anyway, these are 8 and 9-year-old girls that were so cute and so excited. And 2 of them, they said, this is my first day ever selling cookies. And they were so happy to be there.
They got you.
And I was just like, I'm going to help these little girls.
Yeah.
And so I bought $30 of cookies. And I'm going to tell you what, they had widespread, large amounts. I think there was 8, 10 different types of cookies. You always get Thin Mints. You always get Samoas. Let's put that on the table right now.
I think I'd drop the Samoas and sub in the peanut butter ones.
Dude. The peanut butter ones are the easiest replicatable within the store shelves.
That's true.
That's true. But those are the tried and true. This is what I've always had. They had a new one this year. It was a s'mores one, and I must say, it's like a s'mores Oreo.
And I must say,
delectable, pure heaven, pure heaven.
But what 10 out of 5? 5 out of 5?
4.5 out of 5.
4.5. Okay.
Okay.
Samoas and Thin Mints. Are those the 5s?
Samoas are 5. Thin Mints are also 4.5.
Okay.
But I got to say this. Every single cookie option on that table. Guess what it was, Scott?
Every single, like, price-wise?
No. They're all priced the same.
And no.
Listen.
That was a fantastic Trumpism right there.
The best cookies.
Give me a hint what I should be guessing here. I don't even know what I should be guessing.
What was the texture of every single cookie on that table?
Other fucking things were all hard.
All hard cookies, baby. All hard cookies. Girl Scouts, they know what they want. They know that you're going to spend $5 a box, baby, because it's hard cookies. Ain't no one spending $5 a box on soft cookies.
No one's buying them because they're hard. It's because they taste good.
Dude, you want a damp, flaccid Thin Mint?
Yeah,
no.
I do. I want to drown my goddamn Oreo and make it soggy. I want it to melt in my mouth.
You know what you try to do if you do that with the Thin Mint? That beautiful chocolate coating will repel all that moisture. It says no.
Like the fucking Red Sea, dude.
Yeah, this is like the scene in Braveheart where they're holding up the stick spears. They hold the line.
Mm-hmm.
They do not let the moisture in because they know the hard cookie must be sacrificed to no altar.
Haven't you never eaten a soft, warm, baked cookie?
That's different. We've had this conversation, dude.
Have we?
We're not talking about homemade cookies. We're talking about store-bought cookies.
Okay.
All right?
I mean, I think you're generally right. Like, a hard store-bought cookie is maybe where it goes. But, like, I hate chocolate chip cookies that are hard and crispy. I think they're awful.
Yeah, because it usually implies you're on some level of the scale of stale.
Yes.
Right?
Right. It kind of feels a little stale.
Right, yeah.
But like a Thin Mint, yeah, I can get behind a Thin Mint for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the good Lord gave you mouth juices for a reason. The mouth juices are there to bring it to the texture of your desired
No, that's
mouth.
not how that works. All right, and moving on from fucking Girl Scout cookies, onto a topic very near and dear to my heart. A little bit of Dota update for you all. I have blasted through the Crusader bracket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm now in Archon. It goes Herald, Guardian, Crusader, Archon, Legend, something, Divine, Immortal. Okay, so I'm like a little under halfway through. And I got a 64% win rate, feeling strong.
Oh, that's good.
Winning most of my games. Not getting hard yet, but it feels good to, it feels like I know a little bit what I'm doing.
It's not getting hard, or you're not getting hard yet.
I'm getting hard all the time. No, but the games don't feel like the people I'm playing with are like significantly better or worse than the people in Crusader 1. Like they kind of all feel like they're the same level of skill.
Interesting. Yeah. It's so. Oh, you haven't got that point where like I'm completely out of my depths.
Yes.
It's probably a frog in a pot of boiling water kind of thing because it's such a gradual thing.
I think so.
You probably won't ever feel that.
Yeah, I think so.
You'll just get to those kind of those peaks where it's like you're struggling to get above that. Just because you just do what everybody does, just blame it on the other people.
Yeah.
Blame it on the randos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you have to do that. In a team PvP game, it's never your fault.
No, never.
No.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear you're moving up. 64% win rate that's impressive.
Thank you.
I know from like pro Magic or even like, trying to play Magic competitively, you get 55.
That's like really good.
Yeah. Like that's what you're going for.
Yeah, like if a hero in Dota has a 55% win rate, that's like a broken hero, like sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
It didn't always used to be that way before they got everything balanced and all those kinds of things figured out. There was some bigger outliers in it.
Yeah.
They've kind of brought it in.
Mm-hmm.
A couple things here. I'm going to talk about Gen Con registration. I registered for Gen Con my very first time. And let me tell you, they have got this shit figured out unlike any convention I've ever seen. They have a singular create a profile, and then you have your own sweet little homepage, and it like step by step walks you through all the different things you need to do, you can do. It cross references. Like if you go to the housing thing, it'll be like, in order to get your housing unlocked, you first have to buy a badge. Here's where you go buy the badge. When you do, here's what will happen. And you'll get a day and a time for your housing for you to enter the lottery. And we'll email you the day of, and then you'll be referenced of that time. You go right back to here. Don't worry, we got it all figured out for you. You click here. Doesn't even take you to a new page. We show you all the hotel options, and you can still sort and whatever and get all signed up for everything here. You need to worry about parking. You need to worry about taking classes. Do you want to teach a class here? Here, just fill out this whole form right here. It'll auto send it to the right person. While you're doing that, did you want to send an email to the students of your class? Here's where you just fill out what you want your students to be emailed. Every fucking thing in one home, super simple, and it's all together. Nobody else has anything like this. Granted, it's about 10 times bigger than most of the other ones, but I was just going in expecting it to be like you got to know kind of thing, like Adepticons and the Novas and the Paxes of the world, where it's just you just kind of like you figure your way through it, right? And it was just so stinking helpful that I was like, damn, Gen Con's got it figured out. So I am officially going to Gen Con. I've registered for a fucking media pass. Got approved for that.
Nice.
I don't even know what that means.
Did you have to pay to go?
I did pay because I had to first get a regular registration so I could enter the lottery for the housing. And so I made sure I did that first just so I didn't miss out on that while I submitted the media thing. So I don't know if I'll get some level of refund or it gets me access to like the Sky Club or something.
Yeah, that's what it was at PAX. At PAX, you had access to certain rooms that had like lockers and like water, and like it gave you internet access as well. So you could like, obviously, if you were filming on your phone and posting stuff, you could do that with their Wi-Fi instead of like with your LTE and stuff like that. So those were the minor benefits for being media at PAX Unplugged.
Yeah. So I'll report back.
Okay.
I'll report back. What else you got here? You got anything else?
Oh, yeah. Fucking Shatterpoint news. Atomic Mass Games put out a press release. It's very formal, like a PDF thing that they sent out to people, saying that they're going to focus on Star Wars Legion and Marvel Crisis Protocol as their main games going forward, and that Shatterpoint would become a specialist game akin to Necromunda in GW. And so like when they change it, like that they're still going to do annual balances. They're still going to come out with new like mission sets that are called operations and stuff like that, but probably not make as many kits as they have. Which is a little sad. I like Shatterpoint a lot, and I would love to see more kits. But admittedly, they came out with like 190 different kits in like the 3 years that they existed, so which is a lot. It's a lot, and so there's a lot that I haven't even painted and played with yet, admittedly. And so I think it's okay that they're slowing down a little bit and being more specialized with Shatterpoint. But you know,
I wasn't aware of this, but it doesn't surprise me in the least when I see how many new kits and box sets and everything they're doing for Legion.
Yes.
And even like the look of the box, the marketing on the box, it feels like it's leaning more towards the Shatterpoint aesthetic, which is a bit more updated. Like the way that Legion looked and felt on its packaging felt dated before, and now it is feeling more up to date. Yeah. I will say the models for Legion don't excite me nearly as much as Shatterpoint, though.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask you a question on that, because the number one criticism that I would see on posts about this, I'm in like a Shatterpoint Facebook group and stuff like that, and on Discords, people are like, Shatterpoint should have never been its own game. It should have always been just a system that dovetailed off of Legion with the same models, different rule sets, and stuff like that. And that may be the majority opinion. I totally understand why people would want that, but personally, I love the larger Shatterpoint models. They're very enjoyable to paint. There's better models. Like I think back in the day, Legion weren't like Legion models were kind of like they were a little goofy looking. They had really big heads. And I kind of feel like they still have a little bit of that, even in the new kits that are coming out now. And so when you kind of lengthen that body a little bit, all the proportions feel right.
Yeah.
Feel cluttered with detail. Like they're really nice models to paint. And so I actually really like the larger scale of Shatterpoint.
Yeah, the newer Legion stuff is better.
Yeah.
Noticeably better than the old stuff, but they still feel kind of squat. They all still feel kind of like you had a model in ZBrush and you just like condensed it all 20%. Like they just like squished down, and it doesn't feel as heroic or as dynamic to me because of that.
Yeah.
You could take the same way of dealing with proportions and everything from Shatterpoint and just make it 32 mil, and I think that would be fine. But I agree with you that they're larger without being large.
Yeah.
Which is you just get a little bit more breathing room and a little bit more access to enjoy the painting of the details without it just being so condensed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm with you. That kind of stinks.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to talk about really quick is I brought these here. I got my first samples of the deck of many colors.
They look very fancy
in the mail, and these are by the printer. They do this first sample run to make sure I sign off on every tiny little detail of the cards and the packaging and everything before we go to full production. And there are 2 things that I'm going to change. So I'm going to make them send more of these to me because they're not exactly what I want, but they're very minor things. Overall, I'm very, very happy with them. I'll tell you the 2 things that I'm going to change. First of all, they simply screwed up the finish on the cards. They're supposed to be a velvet matte, and they're glossy.
Okay.
Now the colors show great on the gloss.
They do, yeah. I was gonna say
the colors show very vibrant and great, but like when you're in your painting area, under your painting desk and stuff, it's just kind of too easy, as is, for them to just reflect off of your painting light and stuff to really not see the card and the art or any of the details of the text on the back really clearly.
Okay.
It also, you lose a bit of all that cool foiling border because they're all equal level of gloss. And when you have the matte card with the gold or the gold or silver foiling on the border, it really pops without distracting from the art. So that's the first thing. That was simply they screwed it up. And so I'll make them send me the other ones without charging me for it because I went back and referenced my full spec sheet and everything. I'm like, that's not what I ordered. Mm-hmm. Second thing, and this was a little thing, but it's just an opportunity, that there's a little bit of extra space when you put them in that box. And I'm going to take that opportunity to thicken the cards just a little bit. They're at 350 GRM right now. Don't ask me what GRM stands for. They're 350 GRM right now. I'm going to up them to 400 GRM. And that just means the cards are going to be a little bit more robust, a little bit thicker, a little bit sturdier. So then they'll fit just snug in that box without worrying about like having to hit the edges on the box, that kind of thing. So I did, yeah. So, but overall, from kind of initial work from just starting the initial planning of this product about 2 years ago, or just about 2 years from me sketching out my first ideas to having them in hand. So
can I give you some packaging feedback?
Sure.
This needs your logo on it, brother.
I purposely didn't have it on there. That was an active decision.
Like even just on the back in a mono silver like foil and the black of the box.
Yeah, it's like a center down the back.
Yeah, center lower, like right above the little hole slot. I feel like your logo and your branding is a selling point for people. I know maybe it's not clean, it doesn't look good, but I think that would be good. Also, do you want some kind of indicator? Like, imagine this on I don't know if it's ever going to be a goal of yours, but imagine this on the shelf of a game store. Someone sees this on the shelf, they pick it up. You know, maybe it's shrink wrapped, they can't open it. I don't know how this would be sold. What on here tells them what this is?
Right. Yeah. So that's where you get into PDMs, which is product display marketing, which is like a display box with a back flap that has the cards fanned out. Sure. That'll be there. That also keeps them kind of condensed, kind of like you think of like card sleeves. You've seen those on the shelves in the store where they're like 2 rows of 6 deep, and they're in a box, and then the box topper flops up.
Okay.
And then that'll have the cards fanned out, and it'll explain what they are.
Okay.
So yes.
You want to keep. So I see what you're doing. You want to keep this thing pristine and clean.
Yeah.
So okay.
I want it. My goal with this is when it's on your shelf or on your desk, it has an aesthetic that you look at and it's cool, right? Or you pick it up and it feels cool, and it's not over the top gaudy. It's a little bit of like a if you know kind of a thing. Purposefully, I did go back and forth on having my logo on there, and the reason why I didn't was that most people that know me will have seen or heard about these already. It's about if there are other people that don't know me, that logo is not going to mean anything to them, to just have it breathe as its own and not associated with my brand. That's my thought. But yeah, I did look at like in this little half moon shape, just having my little head down there.
Yeah, or on the side of the box. There's nothing on the side of the box on one of them.
That's because you pay per side. And purposefully and they're also designed like a book.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the book spine, and the opposite side of a book spine, when you just see the pages, there's nothing there unless you get the super fancy ones that have like art on the side of the paper and stuff like that. Okay. So it's, and it was, there's purposely not every side of the stuff just for that reason. Yeah. Because it costs more. And wildly enough, it costs the same for this whole side and everything on here than this side. It costs the same amount. So if you put anything on the side, it costs.
Yeah, it's just a multiplier.
Right. So I just wanted to take advantage of that. But
all right, they look very nice.
Thank you. And when I get the actual final ones, I am gonna be sending those all out. I'm gonna make sure you get a set of decks. Do with whatever you want to, but I'm just so happy that they exist.
If I make a pentagram with them on the ground and then like crumple one up and put it in the middle and burn it, do I summon you?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, with a box of Samoas. So if you ever need a little sweet treat, that's it.
Okay.
Let's talk about the TUP Partners. These are amazing hobby companies. We love what they make, and they partner with us to bring TUP to you. First one, Monument Hobbies. They got some exciting new stuff coming out. It feels like they're kind of in a barrage of new products, stuff that they're going to show off for the first time at Adepticon, things that they already have for sale on their website, like their pigments. They sent me their pigments. I've tried them out. We talk about what we painted. I used their pigments, really high quality pigments. And what you may not know is there's a difference between good pigments and weak ass pigments. Mm-hmm. And these are good pigments with a wide variety of colors. They also just teased that they're coming out with their own contrast paints, and they're called One Step, and that's all I know thus far. They're going to be showcased, and you can try them out at Adepticon, so I'm going to definitely be doing that, and they're going to be coming to retail and their web store in May.
Next on the list is Iwata. Iwata is a brand that makes airbrushes, but also compressors. I recently just made an airbrushing video, got a chance to use other compressor that can feed 2 different airbrushes at once. Super convenient. I love Iwata airbrushes. The Iwata HPBH has been my daily driver for years and years. And before that, it was the Eclipse, the HPCS. They are dependable tools for pros and beginners alike.
Next up is Game Envy. We love their wet palettes. We love their gaming lights. They've got all sorts of other fun hobby accessories, like the little copper weights that you put on the corners of your paper on your wet palette that I love so much. Yeah, check them out.
All right. Let's discuss one of the things we painted.
Got there.
Hobby update. I was like, a patron? No, I skipped a paragraph. All right. I don't know what we painted. I painted a necromancer for my Soul Black Gravelord. You know, I don't have a necromancer for my undead army, which seems wrong.
Yeah, that's
very wrong.
That's wrong.
And so I took that amazing model from Cursed City because I have a very minor objective of finishing the entirety of Cursed City, which I am getting dangerously close to.
Really?
Yes. I got to paint Big Bad Wolf Boy.
Ooh.
His zombie minions.
Okay.
The 3 cat vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And the other 2, the guy with the big shovel,
mm-hmm.
and the guy with like a bunch of like animals and stuff on him. And then I'm done.
Okay. That's it.
That's a lot. I painted a lot. I even painted like the little like gravestone markers with like.
Oh, I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah, I did that stuff too. So I love this guy. He's awesome. He is a good guy. I don't know if he's much of a good guy. He looks evil, and with a suitably evil paint scheme,
You're right.
he looks like a necromancer.
Right.
So I did this for a video where I have a series-ish on my channel called Start to Finish, which is like I'm going to show you how I paint a TMM axe head from start to finish with my stream of conscious thoughts. This is a start to finish on an entire model.
Whoa.
So I yap the entire time. Not the entire time. A lot of it is sped up to match how much yapping I do. Just to discuss my stream of conscious thoughts about how I paint this model and what choices I'm making and why I do what I do in the moment. I feel like a lot of that nuance is missed when you are writing a script after the fact. You kind of forget a lot of the small decision things and remember the big decisions you made. So yeah, I painted that guy, and I did it with my scheme, but I inverted my scheme. So normally a big part of my scheme is like a scarlet or a red color. And then like a small part is navy blue, and a small part is like a sickly, yellowish, ghostly cream color. But in this case, I flipped that, and the biggest color on him is that kind of sickly green color. It's kind of yellowy, bluish. And the smallest thing are just his tiny little red eyes and his red orb in his spear. So I kind of did a little bit of an inverted scheme to make him stand out a bit more and just to experiment a little bit.
Yeah. I dig it. And then I really like that there's basically the only metallics on it is his faceplate thing.
I know, yeah.
That really stands out.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that. Like he's not, because I've painted this guy too, and I painted him more like a grubby deep in the sewers necromancer, and you painted him like, I started out as a really well-to-do wizard and just something went wrong. Right. And I like that, and I actually think that the blues really work on him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, the box art bisects him. Like he has a different color on the top than he does on the bottom half, and I was like, I like that. We'll go light on top, dark on the bottom. Also, I cracked the code to dirty down moss. The key with getting incredible moss effect is to get a big brush full of like this stuff. Probably shake it up. You probably want to shake it up. Get a good big brush full of it. Like just douse it your base with it or wherever you want it to be. Then fully clean out your brush. Get a large amount of water in your brush, and then like mix it on your base that you're working on with the stuff. Almost like 50-50 water to whatever comes in that bottle. Then just like always produces an incredible lime, dry moss look. I do the whole base with it because that's just how I do my schemes for my Soul Blight. But it works so well with that and with the rust.
Yeah, I really like that base.
Thank you.
Yeah, because when you do that, I found that there is a key of using water with it in different ways. And that's like my favorite. And I think it's probably the most reliable, consistent way of it is placing, cleaning brush, and then bringing back in just a watery brush.
Feathering it a little bit.
Whether it's feathering, whether it's just moving it around.
Yeah, just moving it around.
Because that just gives different inconsistencies to the final thing. So then it feels more natural and realistic. It's like, oh, it's more rich over here, and then it's faded over here, and then it's, oh, in this crack, it gets nice and bright lime, and then over here, it's like, it just works so well, and it feels like you spent so much more time doing it.
Yeah.
I love this guy. This guy is also a great example of a really fun model to paint because it's not overloaded with bullshit details.
Yes.
But has just enough for it to feel like an interesting, unique model.
Yes.
It's just a great middle ground.
Completely agree. And now I have a necromancer for my Soul Blight.
Nice. A metal-faced necromancer. A metal-mancer.
Yeah. Oh, I had to fill in his eyeballs so I could paint them red because they're like sunken in. So I had to put putty in them to make them easier to paint.
Oh.
That's a pretty common thing, though. If you want to paint like glowing skull eyes, you need to fill them in with a little bit of putty. You want a little bit of a shallow depression in there to still make it like it's sunken eyes. Yep. But you needed to bring that back more forward so you have an easier time painting it.
Wow. Yeah. That's an extra step there.
Yes.
My paint job was I tested out my deck of many colors for their maiden voyage. I grabbed a card. I'll just show you the card I used. And I painted one of the new Red Corsair Chaos Marines, which I just love those because they feel like they've been slaves to darknessified with the fur.
With the furs and the top knot.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I really like those models. So this is the card that I used, and it is by Martin McCoy, the artwork, and it's 5 paints. I specifically use different paints from different manufacturers because I was like, well, there's no reason not to. I just want to show people, like, you don't have to have all 5 paints from the same manufacturer to make this work. And as a first test, I didn't want to overcomplicate it and make it like feel overwhelming to how to use these. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm not trying to replicate the style or the exact use that the artist used those colors for. I'm simply just using them as a guideline. And I purposely, because these are Red Corsairs and I wanted them to feel like the Red Corsairs, so they have like these alternating black and red panels, I purposely picked a card that had a vibrant red in it. So I knew I could lean on that. That's helped me decide on which card to choose. And then the other 4 colors are basically like, oh, they just help me like figure out how to paint everything else without overthinking it, without making it a big deal, without like stressing over shit like the pouches and his gloves and, you know, the little gems and all that kind of stuff. Even the slight glow on his eyes was brought in from that sage. On his sword, he's got that little glowy thing with, I put a little freehand like lightning bolt things. Use that sage color for that. So, and even like his cloak, I would never have guessed to do a more like off green color for the cloak, but it really works well to kind of make the whole scheme feel harmonious. So I'm like, oh, this was a really good way to, like, I have a basic idea of what color I want for my army scheme, but I don't want to have 1,000 paints to paint my army, and I want them to feel cool and cohesive. You could do it with 5 fucking paints.
Yeah.
You could just reuse these in different amounts on different units and stuff, and it'll feel like a cohesive scheme.
I think the problem with that is that when you take a beautiful scheme like this and want to translate it to batch painting, you probably want to save some time, and oftentimes through saving time, you'll like include things like washes and stuff like that, and so that begins to expand like the products you use in a paint scheme and stuff like that. But maybe not. You know, maybe you can paint an entire army with the techniques you did on this guy. Did they feel sustainable? I mean, the scheme is great. No doubt about that.
I use regular paints for washes on multiple steps. You don't need actual washes to do washes. Just add a bunch of water.
Okay.
Right? And that worked. Like, I did a wash over the fur to create like a warmth on the inside of there. I started with an underpainting, like a really thin wash of like a dark red, rusty brown in the bottom half of the model, slightly more red in the top half. So in those cracks and crevices, it doesn't go to full black. There's a bit of color there that kind of melds that scheme instead of just being strictly black.
Okay. I'm going to call you out on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell that the knife and the skirt behind the knife are different hues. One looks blue and one looks more green, like sage.
The knife and the skirt behind the knife.
Yeah, the dangly thing.
Oh, I did use a little bit of white and a little bit of black.
Did it change the hue? Don't lie to me.
So I don't think the knife had the green in it.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's like it looks more like a blue. But there's only one cold color in this scheme.
So there might have been a touch of the sage green, but it was mostly that ashith gray. Just
What?
brought up.
This?
Yes.
Isn't this just black?
No, it's not black. It's not black.
Okay. Oh, and okay. So you're literally saying use these paints.
Yep.
Okay. So there's blue in this color, and then when you lift it up, it turns colder.
It's it's slightly cold.
Okay. That answers it. All right.
Yeah. You don't need a lot of paints to get a bunch of variety.
Oh, you do not. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Like, it was like, even like those colors, I did not think I would be able to get like just like a true khaki. And it was so easy to get a khaki, and to get the base layer for like the cloak is a true khaki tone. And then I could build up the green from there, but you need a starting point. And it's like, it just helps you learn that, like, the biggest misconception about color mixing is I need to always know what color I'm mixing for, or what color I'm mixing to. I need to know what the final outcome of the color is that I'm mixing before I begin mixing.
Yeah.
And I think that is the number one way you're going to actually have frustration. You're not going to want to mix colors, and you're going to feel bad about mixing colors. I just mix colors together, see what cool thing they make, and I'm like, oh, I would like it if it was a little bit warmer. I'll just put another little brush tip of red in, see what that looks like. Boom. You'll end up with the color. You can use that color. And if you know it works in an artwork scheme, you know that mix is going to end up working just fine no matter what the color ends up being. So do not stress about color mixing thinking you need to know the answer of the question before you even begin mixing colors.
Yeah.
Just go with it. Have fun. Roll with it. It works out.
And I've mentioned this at several points as well, and I totally agree with this, that this is the right way to approach painting in general. It's like I have X number of paints that I'm going to use, and when I encounter a new detail in the model, I'm going to think about how I can creatively use these 4 to 6 colors to paint that thing, and that just gives you a more harmonious paint scheme. Instead of like thinking about this is a bag, I'm going to get a bag color. It's like, no, don't think about it like that. Because you can make a bag color from so many different tones mixed together and get something that gets just a little bit more harmonious.
Yep. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It's very freeing. It's not a low stress.
I love the backpack, the red in the middle and the black on the wings. I think that looks really sick.
Yeah, he's a really fun model to paint. I really liked him. He was
Army of this one.
Oh gosh, yeah. You get the rest of the box. There's a lot of dudes. The chaos like I guess cultists. No, they're not cultists, but there's like regular ass dudes with rifles.
Yeah.
Of this are also awesome.
Yeah.
And I just like regular ass dudes with guns, but just like slightly more hammerified, and that's what they do. Yeah.
Okay.
But fucking trim.
Oh yeah.
That's where it's like you get to a point in the paint job where I realized it was like, oh, well, there's 5 main colors here, but I don't really have much showcasing the sage yet or much showcasing the gold and yellow yet. So that helps you make decisions on when you get to the details of the model. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well, he used gold and yellow and looked good in there. I'm just going to use that for the trim, Yeah. I'll just do that. Or the sage, let me make sure, well, I'm going to make the sage more prominent in the cloak. I hadn't painted the cloak yet. Yeah. And it just helps you decision make quickly. Yeah. And you already have the paints on your palette. Just keep moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. All right, on to our patron mini critique. As a patron of the show, you get a couple of different benefits. One of those is you can submit your models for us to give feedback to during the show. You also have an opportunity to give comments about what kinds of topics you want us to discuss. Actually, in a future episode, we're going to have one of those topics. And additionally, you also get access to an extended portion of the podcast, about 20 minutes longer. And we've been doing it since the very beginning, season 1. So a bunch of extra TUP content to enjoy if you haven't been enjoying it so far. But you can find all that stuff linked down in the show notes and description below. But for now, we're going to give some feedback to Danny Wilkins. What you got for us, Danny?
Is it this Drake thing?
This Drake thing? It is.
Like a Quetzalcoatl underwater drake?
Yeah, it's a watery dragon type thing. Blue, got some yellowy orange in its fins, and it's on a big aquatic base. All right, okay.
I'll say I don't know if this scene... I just burped while I was talking. I don't know if this like scene is all part of the model or you composed this base yourself. If you compose this yourself, this is good. Like this is good composition. I almost feel like like this was part of it because it feels so organic in the pose of the model. Oh, it's got one foot right on that gem. This back foot's just perfect on that rock. But it creates a nice bit of movement. You're following the curve of the model where it's like a C shaped, and you're following that with the curve of the base really well instead of like placing it dead center. So if you did this, if you composed this scene, fucking great job. If you didn't, whatever.
Dragons are really challenging models to paint just because like they have so much texture on them through the scales, and you still want to like have these highlights and shadows that are like global on the model. Like on the top of its back, it's lighter, and on the lower side of its stomach, it's not as light. But then you also want to like address each individual scale in some way, whether that's washing it, whether that's dry brushing it, whether that's like going through the hassle of edge highlighting every single scale if you want to do that. Whatever the solution, solution you employ, it is a hassle to do, and it's a big model, so you got to do it over and over and over again. So I respect anyone who wants to paint a dragon. I wouldn't choose to do it. So props to that. But I know you have a bit of dragon painting experience.
Yeah, I will say that there is a kind of common mistake I'm seeing here on painting this, and I know this because I have been guilty of it before. Because there's so many tiny shapes that make up the body of a dragon, namely just all the scales and the different kinds of texture that they use and different kinds of shapes that they use, it's really easy to fall into painting each of those shapes individually. And you do get to that point, but first you have to think of the large shapes as a whole. And that means the whole top of his head, the whole front of his forearm, think of those, like squint your eyes so they're blurry, and just think of it as a long cylinder for that forearm. Where would the highlight fall? Where would the midtones fall? Where would the shadows be across that general shape? And those need to be set in place first. If you dig right into painting the midtone and the highlight edge for every scale first, you're not going to actually showcase where light would hit over that entire surface. So there's a lot of what I would call roller coastering across the scales on this model, where every single thing has the same midtone, highlights, shadows in largely all the exact same places too. And that does not give you the volumetric highlights of the large volumes.
That's fair. One thing I want to talk about is the blue scales on the dragon's body seem more finished than a lot of the other part of the dragon. There's a lot of like detail on this dragon that aren't dragon scales. I'm seeing like there's this like almost like fabric or flame looking thing that you have painted purple, blue, and have like little speckly white dots on. There's like a really desaturated like red, almost like rock looking thing. And then almost like a hair that's like kind of like a green, dark sea foam kind of thing as well.
I think that's supposed to be seaweed.
Seaweed. Yeah, maybe seaweed. I'm having a hard time like picking out all these individual details, partially because some of it feels like it doesn't have a lot of contrast. Some of it doesn't feel like it's very different in hue from the blue scales that are painted really nicely, so it kind of blends into them. And this is not necessarily easy to do, but I want each one of those elements to read in a way that's more obvious, more different than their surrounding areas, so there's more visual contrast between those various elements, but also that it makes sense for the scheme. I think actually the colors you're choosing here make a lot of sense. Like like the nose of the dragon is green, and that same green comes back when you transition from the yellowy orange fin things into the blue body. So it's like that is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. There's also like this weird like red cluster of like beans on his tail or like whatever it is.
I don't know what those beans are.
It draws a lot of attention. I don't know why it's there. If the other kind of maroony rock-like gem-like things were painted to that same level of intensity, it would feel less like an eyesore. But yeah, that is a strange creative choice in a weird part of the model that I'd move somewhere else or use that color again somewhere else in the model.
Yeah, my eyes are drawn immediately to the cloaca of this reptile.
Cloaca
is the reproductive organs that birds and reptiles have.
Oh.
And it's right below where those beans are.
Those beans. Got some kidney beans.
Yeah, I think you're right with all the stuff on the back, and I think the simple thing you could do, because you did such a good job of defining all the crisp edges on the blue scales, a simple fact of crisp, brighter edge highlights defining the shapes of each of those things on his back will help define them and help them read to the viewer easier. And I know that's a ton of work. There's a lot of bullshit back there.
Yeah,
but that's just a little thing. The thing that I'll say that I really like, that blend on those yellowy orange parts on his little head fins and then on the tail fins is a really nice blend. And I like the color choice. I like how you push vibrancy there, pushes your eye towards the head. And I just, again, the blend is good. I don't know if that was a wet blend or if you did some layering and glazing or whatever, but that's really well achieved. So good job.
Yeah. There's like a gem on the base that's the same color as like the maroon gem things on his back. Just do that to the rocks on his back.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And I know that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
But yeah, and even like pushing the Maybe it's just the angle of our pictures because the face is mostly pushed down. The teeth are not as bright as I want them to be either. You know, I'd like to be pushed that brightest like line of off-white to really be really shiny there. But this is great. This is a really cool model. I really like the display base. I really like that it's on this funky little plinth with a little border on it. Like, this is a really nice display model. Should be proud.
Thank you very much, Danny Wilkins. Again, if you want your model submitted for some CNC, check out the Patreon linked below. On to our next TUP Partner segment. First on the list is Corvus Belli, and they're showing off their dwarf faction finally for Warcrow. This actually rounds out the 6 factions they announced for the game at the very beginning. We have 2 boxes that can be bundled together with a unique character model that you only get when you bundle them together right now for pre-order, linked down below. You got a box of 10 guys, a box of chunkier 4 guys, and that special character that all come together for €145.
Next up, we have the Army Painter. We love the Fanatics range. I love the Speed Paint range. And I want to talk briefly about the next 2 John Blanche sets that have just released, sets 3 and 4. And these add a bunch more like well-rounded, interesting colors that still feel very grimdark, very John Blanche. So if you loved the first 2 sets as much as I did, you're going to love these as well.
Next on the list is Red Grass Games. They make one of the coolest miniature holders that I love. It's great and ergonomic in the hand. Has a great damped motion when you rotate it with your pointer finger and your thumb. Among that, Red Grass also makes fantastic nippers. They also have a wet palette. They also do all kinds of great hobby accessories. Check them out, link below.
And finally, we've got Steamforged Games, and you're going to want to go follow Steamforged on My Mini Factory because they've got an upcoming campaign coming out with Infernals, Grimkin, and Convergence of Crisis. And those are going to be launching as 3 complete armies very soon. And you can print, paint, and play with them using their free rules on the War Machine app. It's a great way to get into this award-winning game that's been around for 20 years, and it's having a great resurgence.
All right, on to the main topic. A while back, we made an episode where we discussed the highest grossing hobby Kickstarters, and that was 4 years ago?
4 years ago, yeah, we did that.
And so we decided to revisit this fun topic to take a look at what has changed since then, talk about ones that we missed the first time, and also new ones that have come out since then and have grossed a lot of money. And we have them broken down into 3 categories: miniatures, obviously, board games and RPGs, and then kind of like hobby tools and tech are the categories that we're going to go over today.
Yeah, so we basically want to see what really has made the biggest waves since like late 2021, early 2022 in the Kickstarter realm. Specifically, we're just focusing on Kickstarter today. We understand that GameFound and BackerKit have their own ecosystems now that do something very similar, well, basically the same thing. And if y'all like this kind of thing, we can dig into those because there's some other really juicy stuff from those sides as well. But we want to focus on Kickstarter today because there's enough goodies here. Let's start with miniatures, Scott.
Number 1 on the list here is the BattleTech Mercenaries box. This thing grossed $7.5 million on Kickstarter with 23,000 backers. BattleTech is an enigma to me. It's like one of the companies that has seemingly broken out of the nerd sphere and gotten into large retail stores like Target and
Barnes and Noble
and stuff like that. And that popularity is showing up here in a big way with a big price tag. The highest miniature one that we have on our list for this episode.
Yeah. It's wild. I think that's got to be the reason. It's got to be because it's hit some level of the zeitgeist, and it's also accessible enough for people to play like in their basement or at home with their family. It doesn't seem like a game you play with your family, but whatever.
It's not, but it is accessible. That is for sure. Like when I played the game, it's like a big hex map you can put down. You have, a few walkers each, and like that's it. And you have like a sheet for each walker to like track damage and heat and stuff like that. And so for miniature war games that I've played, there's not a lot going on in terms of like extra like bojangles to have. So I would say it's definitely accessible in that way. I also think that BattleTech has just been around for a really long time.
Right.
And so it hits on the nostalgia factor for a lot of people as well, And also who doesn't love giant fucking robots, you know?
I agree. I agree that big robots is always fun. What would make it better is big robots with actually good miniatures.
It included a beginner box. That probably also contributed to how popular it was.
Yeah.
People who are trying to get into something are obviously going to be most helped by some kind of product that like gives them something if they have nothing. You know, if they're just getting started in a new thing. That Mercenaries box included 12 minis, rules, cards, maps, books, and history, 2 force packs, which are smaller boxes with more minis, and then some fun Kickstarter rewards like a challenge coin, a digital novel, etc.
Digital novel. Beep, boop, boop. Robot.
Yeah, that's all it does.
And I think there must be some tie to like whether it's a relaunch, a redo of rules, or in a new way for the rules to be brought out so that you're hitting a lot of your existing market as well with this launch. It's not just like, oh yeah, I've been playing BattleTech for years, so this isn't anything new. I don't need this. I'm guessing that helped push it because usually in order to get to this level, $7.5 million, almost 24,000 backers, you need that first core bump, that rush of your core audience, So I think that is going to be a big, excitement around this relaunch, this new edition with BattleTech Mercenaries, or a new take on it. Not being a big BattleTech nerd myself, I don't really know, so I'm sorry in advance, you BattleTech bros. I don't know. Do we have anything to say? I'm still shocked. That's a lot of freaking money.
I'm trying to open this Kickstarter so I can see these models. Finally, okay. Because, like, I know they've improved over time.
Yeah.
And so the question is the Mercenaries box, does it continue the improvement? Or do they make the same sins that other companies do, which is, like, only put images of the STLs on here and we can't actually see physical figures?
Oh, man. You better not. Okay. View campaign. Okay. Well, this is a lot of...
Wow, look at that picture of a million models. Okay, so it is just STLs.
That's an STL picture, which they always look so much better, especially when you're dealing with something that has so many sharp edges.
Yeah, crispy panel lines.
Crisp,
stuff like
everything is crisp, and then they can up the contrast in the shadows of the STL picture to really like showcase how clean and crisp all of those little tiny lines are.
Mm-hmm.
But when that's on a 32 millimeter model, yeah, I have some from this generation because I bought some BattleTech for a video of breaking down the quality of miniatures at different brands, and I got these. And they are mush bombs, my friend.
Mush bombs. Sad. Well, hopefully these next models are not mush bombs. You want to talk about these ones?
Oh, no. They're even worse.
No, they're not worse. I mean, not in the same sense, I would say.
All right. The next number 2 on the miniatures list are the Stormlight Archive Premium Miniatures. Now, these are the models from the Stormlight Archive world by the great Brandon Sanderson, one of the best fantasy series of our generation. If you haven't read those books, do yourself a solid and listen or read them. Amazing books. And they strictly just came out with just the miniatures for this. Now, they're slightly larger. I don't know if they're quite 54 mil. They probably are. They're probably about 54 mil. And they are just 10 unpainted miniatures. They made over $4 million, $4,100,000, almost 22,000 backers, and the highest tier that was backed was at the $175 level, and that included Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, and Rhythm of War unpainted miniatures. So those are the first 4 novels in the series. You don't get the books, you just get the models. They're 10 unpainted figurines. You also get the Gargantuan Chasm Fiend, which is basically like the worms. They're kind of more like bugs.
Yeah,
they're bug worms.
That's where they get the shard plate when they're farming it, right?
Yeah, that's how they get the shards.
Yeah.
Yep. Army Builders Pack and digital rewards. I don't know what Army Builders Pack is.
So what? This has no to put on my gamer hat right now. This has no immediate purpose, right? There is no game for this. There is no. When this came out, there was no RPG for it.
No.
right?
And even the RPG that did come out later, these aren't usable in that game. I mean, you could, I guess, in theory, because it's an RPG, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
But they're not.
They weren't meant for it.
No.
So this is purely for the love of the IP and maybe partially for the love of painting models. I doubt many.
It is not for the love of painting models, and no one that's ever painted a model looks at these sculpts and says these are good models to
You're
paint.
so mean. Okay.
They're fucking garbage.
When this first came out, this was his exact response. I remember discussing this in my office with, with this very same sign behind us. You were very upset with these models. And now they're not, some of them are not winners. Some of them are definitely better than other ones. You have an attachment to this IP that I do not. Would you say that is influencing?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah, it is. Because these characters are amazing and awesome. And I love each and every one of them for different reasons, for their role in the novels. And these are not sculpted by someone that understands miniature painting.
Yeah.
They're also not particularly sculpted by someone that understands human anatomy, because there is just the ratios are off. The golden ratio of 9 heads is off. Like it's just a mess. They are an utter mess.
They're kind of all over the place a little bit in terms of like how some of them have like chunkier features. Some of them have different length legs, but some of them also don't. So it feels a little bit inconsistent from box to box as well. Also, that model called Pattern, it seems unfinished. I don't know what's up with that model, but it looks so polygonal.
Yeah,
it looks like a video game render model that
like the Nintendo 64
that someone didn't like add enough high-res texture to. I don't know what he's supposed to look like, but maybe that's accurate to the character. But that would be fucking miserable to paint. All those flat surfaces would be so bad. Right. So I agree for that model. I don't think I'm as negative for the entire range.
Here's kind of like my core reason why this disappoints me so much.
Yes.
This is an officially licensed product. So these were all signed off by Brandon Sanderson. And
Brando doesn't know anything.
I mean, here's what he should hold the line on. At the point that these were shown off, they were, to the best of my knowledge, the very first approved, this is canon what these characters look like.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of like people doing their own fanfic art,
This
right?
Official.
These are like officially these characters
look like this. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but they look like shit. Like, I want the official ones to look badass, to look like what I figure in my head. I want them to feel like amazing artwork. Like, base these on some amazing artwork done by artists that show these characters in action, because I'm sure some of that stuff exists as well. Take that and make awesome figures out of that. There's not even like source artwork on any of this campaign. It's all 3D rendered garbage. There's not like, oh, this is an awesome pose by an actual artist that understands what creates a dynamic, interesting scene for a character to be in. None of that's here. It's just like, it's just hot mess. And like, shard plate? Really? That's shard plate? That's shard plate?
So I'm going to push back. There are some dynamic poses. I think shard plate Caladan is a nice pose that we've seen in our hobby before a million times. I think Heavenly One is definitely a pose that's cool. Jasna's pose is cool. Skybreaker Seth is cool, which that's the assassin in the very beginning of right, Wave Kings. I read half that book. Some of these things are definitely working. They're cool. It's hard to see them super zoomed in on the cell phone. Some of them are a little weird, but like, do you think they're all bad?
I don't think they're all terrible. I think you're right, and stuff like Seth isn't bad. Even Captain Kaladin isn't bad. Wit isn't bad, but they're not just because they're not bad doesn't make them good. Like, they're bad. They're not bad comparative to the 40% that are just god awful. And here's my other thing is they're purposely showing you gray unpainted 2-paint models, and anyone that's painted a model, and I've seen these painted like on Twitch streams, people painting these models, and they are horrific. Like, they're not models that are good to paint. And it's such a miss for me. why I'm so passionate about this is because I want these. I want to paint them. I want to own them. I want to have these figures that I painted on my shelf. I'm not spending my time doing it on these. That's what frustrates me. I just really struggle. They're just so uninspired and feels half-assed to me. And I'm sorry.
This is like an example of like if Valve made like a Dota 2 miniature range and then just like dropped the ball, like how sad I would feel essentially.
It's apparent that whoever sculpted these has not sculpted miniatures before. That's my issue. It's the core issue is you did not bring people with experience and really understanding this art form for what it is.
Okay.
And it is not a one-to-one translation to digital sculpting or digital art. It is not. And what works in a three-dimensional physical object that you are painting to create a statue out of at this scale is a unique thing, and you need experts that understand that in the room with you when you go through this process.
Yeah. It's hard to make a judgment call on an entire range, but there's definitely some problems in this range.
And I want to tell you, the reason why this thing made $4 million is because there's not $4 million for the people that want to paint these. These are for people that are passionate about the IP.
Right. Yeah.
And whether or not these were outstanding sculpts for painting or not, that $4 million would have been made. It could have been $6. It could have been $6 million if it was actual like wow people that paint display models or 54 millimeter models or whatever will go out of their way to get these even if they don't like the IP. That's what I would want it to be.
Right. But I think those people don't matter to the people that are selling this because they're like if you don't know a lot about miniature painting and you like Stormlight, these are good enough. People are going to enjoy painting these. But like the 5% of people who like take mini painting really seriously maybe aren't going to enjoy these as much for a myriad of reasons. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to sculpt them anyways, might as well have someone who's familiar with the genre do it.
Right.
I'm like trying to like think of like devil's advocate. Like, is this, is John the target audience someone worth like fretting over? Is it big enough to worry about? But like they're going through the trouble anyways. Like
I feel like I may be not, even though I'm not your target audience, like I'm the person you want that opinion and that perspective.
I agree.
When you're creating these, because that'll steer you true.
Mm-hmm.
So Brando Sando, you fucking call me next time, jackass. I have a slight issue. It's like this is number 2 on the most money made. This is like kind of a deeper bloodline I have with this. It's the frustration, and we're seeing it in 1 and 2. The most money made on miniatures are shitty miniatures. That's not a good thing for our industry. That says it is a thing that you can push minimal effort and investment in because they will buy it because it's miniatures there, not necessarily because of the quality in pushing the art form in the creation of the miniatures. So what you're rewarded for is not making good miniatures.
Well, that's not entirely true. They're not mutually exclusive. Both of these campaigns can exist at the same time, and they do. There are many campaigns run by small companies that make beautiful models that make enough money for that individual to thrive and exist in this market. So I think both can exist, but the comment on the ones that seem to perform the best do not have quality models is an interesting observation.
Mm-hmm.
Like for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 3. We got a giant drop off here on Kickstarter in the last 4 years from number 2 to number 3. Remember, Stormlight made over $4 million. Our number 3, Dragon RPG Miniatures, made $366,000 with 2,200 backers. I'm not familiar with this one. Are you familiar with this?
I am not. And James's sentiment on it is kind of how I'm feeling. After the Bones stuff, it seems like there's a dearth of campaigns that are just miniatures. And when I saw this immediately, I thought of Bones. I was like, okay,
yeah, this is like a Reaper.
Exactly. This is a campaign that just features a fuckload of models for a low cost for you for your RPGing friends to kind of fill out their library of potential models you may encounter during a campaign that you're going to want to have physical representation for. That's what it seems like.
Yep, it is. Lots of models for your RPG table. And it definitely feels like a Reaper thing. Not like their marketing and the way they set up their campaign thing. Everything is very nice looking. Again, all STLs pictures, all digital pictures of these models.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the quality of your sculpts are when they're actually produced. That said, these are certainly the best looking sculpts so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like they look good in a lot of ways. Actually, I think they look better than Reaper sculpts, or at least on par. Very, very much like on par with the recent Reaper stuff, because Reaper stuff has obviously gotten better over time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm digging like some of these lizard men have enough of a unique look, but still feel like that. Oh, a big Minotaur, that looks badass. A Chimera looks badass. Yeah, like these are nice. Assuming that they come out when they show up at your door, the quality of the miniature.
And they're not like awful to clean and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like a real soft plastic.
Yeah. The highest back tier for this campaign was the all-in pledge for $289. It was 659 backers, and that included everything, which is well over 100 models. That clocks in at less than $3 a mini. And there are some that are bigger, some that are smaller. So that's pretty great. This is also published for the Free League RPG called Dragonbane, the same name. You may play any RPGs by Free League? I know they make the Alien RPG.
I never have.
Okay.
Never have. I've heard of them. I never have.
Okay.
Interestingly, this is by Titanforged Games. Titanforged did this.
Oh.
So
I love the branding on it too. It's fun. Has like this fun, like kind of green, almost like vintage look to it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So Titanforge is is a known company in this industry. I think more of a 3D printing. Aren't they more of a 3D printing place? But that would make sense that they understand the sculpting and to create interesting sculpts for this.
Yeah, and they do have real models at the very top of the campaign page that are painted. So props to you guys for including physical painted models, painted well. Also, it doesn't need to be painted well, but it's just nice that it is. It allows you to see closer to the ceiling of what is possible with these models. Not every single one is painted, but it's like a solid chunk, and it's a good variety. There's some big ones, some medium ones, some small ones. So yeah, I think that is a fantastic thing. Titanforge, now that you've mentioned that, I would trust these to be pretty good for the 32 millimeter scale.
Right.
So is it all STLs that you, surely it's not all STLs that you get when you back this campaign, right?
STL miniatures, PDF adventures. Oh, interesting. Oh, so they have pledges. So they have digital pledge where you just get the STL files. In that case, just straight up from 3D printing them yourselves, like that's pretty freaking good. Core pledge. Oh yeah, then you can get the physical ones. So I'm curious what they're in. Are they a hips plastic? I doubt that, but are they?
I bet they're fulfilled through the 3D printing service that Trench Crusade used. I can't say that for certain. I don't know without like diving through the details of this.
Yeah, I would totally 3D print some of these. They're good enough. That's a solid thing. And you can see that drop off, right? Of like not being tied when we look at our big performers in this massive drop off to number 3 of like just generally for nerds for a specific thing, not tied to an IP, really for people playing games and for painting. This there's a big drop off. No, BattleTech is for playing games, not necessarily for painting. It's interesting is I think of that BattleTech one. We had it categorized under miniatures, but I actually don't. I think that's probably more for it should have been under games.
Yeah, it's hard to divide the two.
Divide the two?
I don't know where one ends and one begins. Like, because this Dragonbane thing and the next one as well, they're all kind of similar. Like, people are buying these not because they're beautiful models, because they're gonna play games with them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what all of these are.
No, I don't think you're buying the BattleTech
to play games.
Yeah, I don't think you're buying it just for the beautiful miniatures.
No, I'm saying that's not it. I think these are. None of these are necessarily because.
But the Stormlight is you're just getting the models. They're not for a game.
I know that is the weird. That is the weird outlier. That's more for fans of Stormlight. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and it was like it was kind of the start of the ball rolling downhill on Brandon Sanderson pushing into these other merch categories,
Sure.
which he's done in a lot of different ways since.
Yeah.
So like seeing the capitalizing on that and being one of the first things you could get that's very exclusive, it's based on that brand.
Yeah.
For Stormlight. So
All right. Next and last on our list for the miniature categories is the infamous Forged by Broken Anvil. Low cost, high quality models, 28mm scale, D&D 5e compatible. The highest backed tier was the early bird one. Broken Anvil does not have the best reputation in our hobby. This one, the Forged Kickstarter campaign, unfortunately, the last update it got was October 2024. And the update was simply, hey, sorry we haven't said anything in a while. And that was kind of it. There wasn't like any like...
So this never got fulfilled?
I don't think... Well, if the updates are to be, proof of the progress on the campaign, which like that should be, like every campaign sends out updates through the update thing on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And they always end with like a, hey, we're in production, or hey, we're all fulfilled. Everyone should have their ship by now.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing, which was in 2024 October, was just sorry we've been radio silent. We've been working on other Kickstarter campaigns, which that's just, that's the reality of crowdfunding sometimes. But also,
Yeah, I know there's a lot of drama around this, and you could let us know in the comments, like if you backed this, because I'm guessing a bunch of you goody peepees out there did back this.
Mm-hmm.
Did it ever get fulfilled? Did you ever get it? I kind of think, because I know that they were pushing, even when they filed bankruptcy and went under. I know that they were still trying to make sure that they fulfilled everything, or offloaded it to a company that could fulfill it, that would basically take over and do that. But I don't know. I haven't kept up on all of that, because usually the more you dig into Broken Anvil, the more you're gonna have to go into Reddit, and it gets really depressing and not very happy.
I don't think Rivenstone is a thing still.
Yeah.
I think that campaign is yet unfulfilled, which is unfortunate, because that game is legitimately like an interesting game.
Right. And here's the amount of time has passed that I think less and less people kind of either give this much weight, or they really think about it anymore because of how long Kickstarter's been around. But nothing's fucking guaranteed. This is not you walking to Target and buying something off the shelf and taking it home. And that's not saying that you're at fault for backing something and, they bamboozled you, but there is always that risk.
Kickstarter tells you that whenever you back a campaign, but no one reads that.
Yeah.
Everyone treats Kickstarter like it is Amazon, which if you've never done Kickstarter before is understandable, And that was one of my biggest complaints with running a Kickstarter campaign, is even though in my own videos and my own words and on the campaign itself, and Kickstarter says it as well, that this, road bumps will occur,
Right.
Kickstarter is designed to help entrepreneurs bring an idea they've never made before to life. Do you think there are going to be problems along that way? There are. But the thing is not everyone understands that.
Right.
And so people will get upset about that. But in the case of Forge, I don't think that's the same thing. They didn't hit road bumps in manufacturing along the way. Well, maybe they did, but in a different campaign.
Right.
That is now impacting this one. And the people that backed Forged should not be beholden to other people's campaigns getting fulfilled. It should be its own independent thing. And I think that's the biggest problem with how Broken Anvil handled the situation, is that they were juggling too many things.
Yeah. Yep. And there's a lot of whispers on all the different reasons and all the different things, but they also were trying to grow. We know they were trying to push to grow probably much faster than they should have.
Yeah.
To just take things at baby steps, and they tried to take a big bite of the apple, as often in different industries, that is how you make a big impact, and how you really make a big splash and become big out of nowhere, is you take big risks. This is not an industry that can necessarily support that.
Yeah.
So that's too bad. And I hope we're wrong in that this was fulfilled. And then if you backed it, you did get it. Let us know.
I know they fulfilled the paint range Kickstarter that they had done. So I know that there was progress on some of their campaigns that they had ongoing.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next category, which is board games and RPGs.
Big number.
Yeah, and this one, the first one, we're going back to Brandon Sanderson again, going back to his world, the Cosmere. Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG raised $15.1 million with 55,000 backers.
God damn.
And this is simply a tabletop RPG from the universes of Brandon Sanderson, including the Stormlight, with Mistborn coming in 2026.
What's Cosmere? What's that word mean?
Cosmere is the name of like the umbrella on which all of his worlds live.
Oh, so
there's some level of connecting them. There's a level they all connect.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Right. And so these different, when he says Mistborn coming in 2026, that's like a different campaign setting. And it's a different kind of time period, a different level of industry and all those kinds of things. They're not necessarily in the same world. I honestly, I recently bought the Mistborn books. I have never read those before, so I'm going to read those and I'll be able to draw more of a conclusion. But again, his world building and his uniqueness of building a world that feels very real. It's very easy to grasp, but there's enough uniqueness to it that really makes it so interesting, is key to why his books are so damn cool. It only makes logical sense if you can play a game in those worlds with those unique settings, very interesting mechanics, these, nasty thunderstorms that come through that they use to charge charge the gemstones, and all those kinds of things. Like, you can play a high power level where you actually can get Stormplate and Storm Blades, much like a Jedi getting lightsabers, or you can play, more of the dealing with the Sill and the different fairies and stuff, or whatever. I'm blanking on what they're called, but like spirits that you that you get powers from and that kind of thing. And so it makes sense. I know some of my friends have backed this, and I have not gone through and read through it yet, what the game system is like. I haven't done a lot of research on that to know what I feel about that. But
it's made by Dragonsteel Entertainment and Brotherwise Games. Brotherwise Games, most famously known for Boss Monster. I played Boss Monster.
Me too.
I actually did not like that game. If it's the same Boss Monster, maybe it wasn't. It has kind of like a cute little pixelized. Yeah.
Looks like an NES cartridge.
So I played this game one time, and it's very possible that I just didn't understand the rules, but it was not a very compelling game. I don't know why, but I think I was very confused about what I was supposed to do. But I want to give it another shot. So don't listen to what I just said.
This immediately makes me very skeptical, because Dragonsteel Entertainment, that's Brandon Sanderson's merch company.
Okay.
That is his company that you can go on their website right now and you can order fancy leather-bound signed books by him. You can order fucking letter openers. You can order whatever. It's just all unique merch. It has nothing to do with creating games. And the company you partnered with makes it a silly tabletop card game kind of a thing.
Yeah, here's what they're known for. Super Boss Monster, Mistborn, the trading card game, Adulthood, a board game called Adulthood, Dungeon Cart, Empire's End, Castles by the Sea, and Boss Monster, and then some other kind of other board games. There's one called Call to Adventure. Oh, they also have a game called The Cosmere, which looks like all the minis. Oh yeah, okay. So they are okay. Yeah. So this is the same company that apparently is affiliated with the guys who ran the Kickstarter campaign for the model range as well, because they listed under their games, like the models, which they're not a game. But yeah, like you said, notably, none of these are RPGs.
No, and you need someone that's made RPGs before to make an RPG.
Wow.
I mean, you got to start somewhere. But if you're bringing in $15 million and using one of the biggest potential IPs to enter the sphere, like, you want people that know their shit. Not that doesn't say that there weren't people on this team. I assume there were.
Yeah,
because otherwise you're just batshit crazy.
But that would be a concern of a consumer if they were looking at this thing.
That's my concern.
Which also is interesting when you think about how the models got made, seemingly by someone who wasn't as familiar with the world of miniature painting as maybe they ought to be.
And miniature sculpting. I mean, take painting out of it. Like,
sure, yeah, exactly.
Sculpting.
Yeah, just sculpting in general.
So, and here's the thing of, like, hitting. Actually, I have these books at home. My buddy let me borrow them because he backed something and he got these. I haven't read them yet. Here's the thing: the highest backer tier for the most people that backed was under the collector tier, $385, and over 17,000 people backed this.
Damn.
Now, to give you an idea, $385. It costs roughly $40 to $50 to buy a nice hardcover RPG book. So people, and especially this is Kickstarter's known for this, of upselling you on getting fancier versions of the actual thing they're making for just spending way more money than these things probably should cost.
Okay.
You get more stuff, sure, but like when I look at like what are you actually getting, you're getting the Stormlight World Guide, so that's one book. You're getting the handbook, that's book 2, and an adventure. That's not a full hardcover book, probably. If it is, it should say campaign, not adventure.
Okay.
And then you get the Mistborn handbook and World Guide and adventure. So that's 4 hardcover books and 2 probably softcover books or smaller hardcover books. Monster Guide, PDF source books, dice set, GM screen, miniatures, item cards, token packs, PDF plot deck.
You get miniatures too.
I looked at the miniatures, dude.
They're the same ones, I would imagine.
No, they're like some monsters and whatever, and
They're different minis?
yeah, they're bad.
They're bad.
But you get all the stuff. Everyone wants all the stuff, and it's just like $385. That's why they made $15 million, because 70,000 people spent $385 for. I don't know. That's okay. That's okay. You spend your money. That's cool. I hope the game's great. I want to play it. I want to play it if it's great.
You're allowed to give commentary on what you think. That's kind of what we're doing here.
Right.
So
Yeah.
If you think they're not amazing, then that's fine.
It makes me so nervous. It makes me so nervous that, that there's not people. They're not telling me a name of it's part of the who made this game, and I can't find it anywhere looking through their campaign. Here's the names of the RPG devs that we have on this team, right? Because if you don't do that, that means it's not somebody that's adding clout to it, and that scares me.
Yeah. I mean, not all sculptors or game devs like have clout that's worth mentioning. Like, there's so much information on a Kickstarter page that like that's definitely something you can leave behind.
Right.
You would replace it with like the name of a company, right? Like this, and then that company has some kind of clout and stuff like that. Like, what is there a game dev that you would recognize and feel comfortable with?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's 100 of them that you could have that have some that have a history of working at Wizards of the Coast or TSR formerly. You can have some that are worked with Kabul Press. You have some that were associated from 100 other historical RPGs that have done really well. Not even big companies, or maybe even self-published, but they're well regarded or well reviewed, or they have a fan base because there's things that they've done in them that are unique, and they create. There's a lot of that. Okay. Like brought to you by the guy who made blah blah blah, right? Yeah. Like the Critical Role, and you're going to notice we don't have Daggerheart in here because they didn't go through Kickstarter, but like they brought on Chris Perkins, one of the biggest games in the history of Dungeons and Dragons, took him from Wizards of the Coast for their game. Now this was after the game launched, and they had different devs create the game, but it just still makes me nervous. I could quit talking about RPGs. It's not an RPG podcast, but anyway, that's a buttload of money.
That's a lot of money, and so I guess the implication being that they could afford someone really good to work on this thing, and they're going with someone who doesn't have a lot of experience historically in making RPGs.
Yes,
unfortunately. All right, next on our list for the board game and RPG categories, Frosthaven, coming in at 12.9 milli, 89,000 backers, a standalone campaign in the world of Gloomhaven. The highest back tier was the Frosthaven bundle, $145, 21,000 backers. It includes the Frosthaven box, scenarios, hit point dials, a bunch of minis and game tokens, the scenario book, the stickers.
Stickers.
So hold on. Is this Is this the game Frosthaven, or is
Yes.
this? Ah, okay.
This is Frosthaven, the game.
Ah, everything makes sense. Okay. Have you ever played one of these games?
I played all the way through Gloomhaven.
Okay.
And Frosthaven is on our short list to play next.
Okay.
So
Of all the minis we've seen so far, how do the Gloomhaven, Frosthaven models compare?
now, they're
Now,
now here's the thing.
because I think I know the answer.
They're some of the worst.
They are. I will say it. They are unfortunately the worst. The models that come with Jaws of the Lion. Oh my God, they're so fucking bad. They are a 1 tendy out of 5 tendies.
They're bad. They're bad. And then I think they did send me. They did when Frosthaven was first coming out.
Yeah.
And maybe it was at Adepticon booth. I don't know. They gave away Frosthaven models. Yeah. I was like, okay, they made $1 bazillion off Gloomhaven. They're going to go hard in the paint for Frosthaven. What is one area that you can really kind of like step it up a notch? It's a pretty low hanging fruit for something to step it up a notch. It wouldn't take much. The Frosthaven ones are better.
Good.
But they're not good.
No.
They're a tendy and a half. They got
they got a half tendy.
they took one bite out of that next tendy and then put it back. They're not good. Now,
oh no.
that said, Gloomhaven is phenomenal.
It's a great game.
Yeah, and it's not a game that relies heavily on your miniatures to enjoy it, but you do use them a lot.
Every session you're playing with the models. And okay, also to further glaze the game here, like not often do you play a game that has like a new and fun kind of mechanic. But like the way they do the building of the deck and the playing of cards where you use the top half of one and the bottom half of the other, it really does make combat feel different and fun and interesting. We've all played miniature war games where you have an individual model. It has 2 actions. Those actions are move, attack, interact, some search, trade, some kind of thing like that. And you take your turn and then someone else goes. But like this is totally different. And so for that reason, I give them a pass.
Yeah. And I'm okay because everything else about this game, everything else about Gloomhaven, and I've heard Frosthaven's a better game, like kind of overall. So I'm very excited to play it. That's okay. I love miniatures. I love painting miniatures. I had a blast playing Gloomhaven with unpainted. You look like melted in a microwave, fucking gargoyles. I don't know what it was. Terrible. I will point something out. Like, like 3/4 of the way down their campaign page, they have this whole breakdown. What does it say, Scott?
I can't read.
Oh, it says game designers.
Hey.
And it has pictures of everybody from their team, what they've done, and what their jobs were.
Don't they do that for the other ones?
They didn't fucking have that on the Cosmere RPG.
There isn't? I haven't scrolled through all of them, but one of them I scrolled to the bottom and there was this stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Cosmere one though?
I didn't see it.
Let's see. It's often at the bottom. I had mine at the bottom. Yeah, there's people in here, bro.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe let's see if I recognize any of these names.
We got the VP of narrative. We got the lead designer, the lead writer, creative director, lead director, project lead.
Okay, you're right.
Editors. Yeah, they got all kinds of people.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Okay, I take it back. I'm sorry. Let's see if I...
Better fucking be sorry. How dare you?
VP of narrative.
The vice president of all
narrative. You know who's the VP of narrative? The fucking dungeon master.
The dungeon master.
Not some guy. All right. Lead editor, project lead, Lila Fujiwara. I'm just seeing if I recognize any of these names.
Okay.
Well, they got a good team that they're talking about. Okay. A lot of writers. Holy shit, it's all writers.
It makes sense for an RPG.
Okay, I take it back. They have it. They have a team there. I don't recognize any names or faces there, but that does not mean that they're not amazing at their jobs. Frosthaven. What a great example of like the good things for pushing stuff, hobby that we do or adjacent to the hobby that we really enjoy, to kind of new heights. And Gloomhaven was one of those premier ones, those first ones in that first wave that really allowed the floodgates to open for series of these amazing games that are basically at their core, I call them D&D in a box without a dungeon master.
Yes, that's exactly what they are.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory term.
No, I love those kinds of games.
Yeah. Actually, and I'm blanking on the name of it. The game that I'm playing right now, sorry for the sidetrack, ladies and gentlemen, but the game that I'm playing right now is probably my favorite game I've ever played, board game.
Better than Oathsworn?
Better than Oathsworn. But I love Oathsworn too. Have you heard of the game or heard of the channel and the creator Dice Tower?
Yeah.
Vassal is his last name. I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like you see on a lot of board games, like reviewed by or approved by Dice Tower or something like that. Am I wrong about that?
Yes.
They've been around for a long time.
Right. Tom Vassal. Sorry, Tom. So every year, Tom updates it's either top 100 or top 500 games of all time. His favorite games of all games. I mean, it could be Catan, could be whatever. And he just redid it for this year. His number one game of all time, of all games, was the game I'm playing right now.
Wow. Okay.
It's, and I'm sorry. Shit. What's it called? It's like one word. It's called like Aleve, but I know that's headache medicine.
Should we take a break real quick?
Yeah, we'll take a break. I'll find it. Sorry. All right, we looked it up. I found it. The name of the game is Arydia. Arydia. It was on Kickstarter.
Okay.
I think it was my buddy backs all these on Kickstarter. I don't know if it's available yet for retail or purchase, but I think you can probably pre-order it through Arydia's website. But yeah, that one was the reason why he found out about it. My buddy that bought the game was the creator of Arydia had like reposted on social media that he was just like absolutely dumbfounded, like awestruck that he like that person, Tom Vassal, had rated it so high. And so yeah, that's like an open world, like sandbox style RPG in a board game where you just kind of go wherever you want, do whatever side quests you want, but there is a main story, and it kind of, the way it interweaves and connects, the combat's exciting but and unique, and you have your whole like character sheet, you get gear, you learn abilities, there's a whole system to learn new abilities, and then you can choose which ones you're gonna have equipped, so kind of like the card system. Anyway, those kind of games, like when I think of like Gloomhaven was one of the founders of like what made those a reality, and why there's so many of these independent creators that have made these kinds of games that have become successful, is because of that. And they're not tied to companies like, why am I blanking out?
Stormlight or
no. What's the company that does Zombicide? CMON. They're not, these awesome games are not coming from a giant company that spits them out every 9 months.
Cephalofair Games is pretty fucking massive, aren't they?
Cephalofair?
Yeah, they make Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, and
I don't think they were before Gloomhaven.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So like they kind of build themselves from the backbone of a grassroots, like, blood and sweat and tears, a couple of guys, one person with the idea and kind of fleshing it out kind of thing. So
absolutely, that is pretty fucking cool.
Next one we have on here is Kingdom Death Monster 1.5, but we're going to kind of put a nix on that for two reasons. One, they have these like different things where it comes and goes with their backer kit, and I don't quite understand it in their campaign, but this funded in like 2017, Kingdom Death Monster 1.5, and we talked about it on our last episode.
Did we?
Yes, we did. It was the number one.
James says missed last time.
Well, James, you're wrong.
Good people, let us know.
Did we talk about KDM last time?
Smoking crack? Or are we smoking crack?
Right. And also, a good time to say a big thank you to James, the writer goblin.
Crack smoker.
He crack smoking writer goblin from Canada. We're putting him to work this year. We're going to take better use of his great skill set. He's a much more organized person than Scott and I, and he's more data driven. He works with that kind of stuff on a day-to-day basis in his regular job, and him like helping us do research on episodes throughout the year. We're going to try to have him do multiple throughout the year to help us come up with some more juicy stuff. And so shout out James. Thanks for all your hard work on this. Let's move on then to the next one, Avatar Legends, the role-playing game.
9.5 milli. 81,000 backers. Is that the high? No, it's not. 89,000 for the Frosthaven. 81,000 backers by Magpie Games, makers of Urban Shadows and Masks. I haven't heard of either of those two things, which doesn't make it. I mean, I'm not into role-playing games that much. Have you ever heard of these things, Magpie or Shadows and Masks? Based on the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. I have a few friends who love this stuff. I'm not very familiar with it. Highest back tier was the Otter Penguin. It includes the core book, all PDFs, all physical stretch goals, dice pack, foreign nation maps, and a bunch of other fun, good stuff. The only thing I know about Avatar is that when I was at PAX Unplugged, the most recent Magic the Gathering set that was coming out was Avatar. There was like a cart of cabbages, and people were posing with it, and I was like, oh, that's a fun Avatar thing.
Cabbage merchant. That's the thing. All I know about Avatar is what I was forced to learn by reading the Magic the Gathering cards from the latest set. I could not possibly care less. But that said, a lot of people love it. They say the story's great.
I'm not saying that this is an anime, but are you into animes?
Not even a little.
Not even a little. I'm trying to get into it. I'm just trying to kind of explore the world because it's so big and popular, and I feel like I could find something to enjoy in it as well.
I think a big thing is like animes are often a thing like in your formative years. If you get into them then, I think you're much more likely to really find out which anime you like, what really interests you, really kind of like suspend your disbelief, because there's a fairly large, I mean, the older I get, the more it's like this is a gap for me, is like the cultural differentiation for storytelling. It's very hard for me when I'm used to typically either through novels or through Western storytelling through movies, how a story is told, how a character is kind of portrayed. And it is so different in anime. And I really struggle to get over that. And that's a me thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally feel you, though.
You know? And so I heard great things about Avatar. Funny thing here, let's compare. Avatar, which is number 4 on our list, it only made $9 million, right? But it had 81,000 backers. Our number 1, Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG, only had 55,000 backers, but it made $15 million. Here's where you left the money on the table here, Magpie. You only charge $75 for your main tier. You know what they were paying up there at Brando Sando Land? $385.
Includes models, though.
Gives a shit. They're just throwing extra garbage. They throw tchotchkes at you with these fucking things. They're like,
models aren't tchotchkes.
You get fucking coasters, and you get some fucking cozies, and you get a fucking pin, and you get a whatever. It's like, dude, these cheap ass Chinese models that they're making ain't gonna make no goddamn bank. They ain't breaking no goddamn bank. You have some Avatar models, and probably Avatar models will be more badass and be cooler.
Don't you like Stormlight? You're a hater.
I am. Yes, I am. But yeah, 81,000, again, is where you cross the streams, where it's like you have a huge fan base of something, and there's an overlap in the product that you're bringing to market. There's a huge Avatar fan base, a lot of them in other nerds in other ways, so they're going to suck right into this, like, Avatar D&D? Fuck yeah. Right? That's what it's all about. So cool for them. All right, let's move on to hobby tools and tech. Oh, the one you thought we were spicy about other things and had hot takes about other things. This is the exciting one. This is the stuff that gets me. There's one of these that we're going to talk about today. I didn't even know it was on this list. I backed it last week.
All right, first up, the Snapmaker.
I have no idea what the fuck a Snapmaker is.
It makes snaps.
It makes snaps.
You know what a snap is? A snap is something you often see in leatherworking or fabric, or it's one half is a cavity, one half is a little peg, and they snap together, like a purse or a bag or a
jacket.
A jacket.
I think I have snaps on my jacket. I don't know what a snap is, but I know what a snap maker is. These literally, you get at home, you can make your own snaps.
Make snaps.
Well, I get why they made $7.8 million. There's a lot of people looking to make their own snaps at home. So this is actually a 3-in-1 3D printer, a filament 3D printer, a laser engraver / cutter, and a CNC carving. It slaps, it chops, it juliennes, it slices, it dices. It poops out whatever little thing you want to 3D print at home by Snapmaker. Hadn't heard of this company. Now we know we're no more than the average bear in the 3D printing world. But even though you and I are like huge on the filament side, we are both experienced now. We both have Bamboo Labs and love our Bamboo Labs filament printers. But those 3D printing companies, kind of the more tried and true or more well-known brands in the industry, don't tend to go through Kickstarter. So this being a big one, the number one hobby tools in tech, being a 3-in-1 3D printer / julienne machine, doesn't necessarily surprise me because it's an up and coming and popular hobby.
Right. And to deep dive a little bit into the Snapmaker history, they had one prior to this called the Snapmaker, the all-metal 3D printer. Looks like your typical 3-axis, kind of situation. A little bit different. There's only one Z-axis, not two, like there is on the Snapmaker 2.0, the one we're discussing today, the 3-in-1. And then afterwards, they have 3 total. The last one is the Snapmaker U1 Color. 5 times more speed, 5 times less weight. So has multiple filament heads for 3D printing in a bunch of different colors, apparently.
Oh. I mean, in looking at the backer tiers, the highest backed tier was their Kickstarter special Snapmaker A350, which was an astounding $1,079.
Wow.
So people spending big moolah for this julienne machine.
Okay.
And I got to say, only 7,300 people backed this. So, like, as an average, if everyone spent a G on this thing,
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So, leads me to believe it's probably a high-ish quality machine if it's costing that much.
Yeah.
It's not a $300-400 printer.
It looks pretty bare bones. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of extruded aluminum and like some linear bearings in between them, and your typical cables that run up and down the extruded aluminum. And then like on the side, there are like these tin metal boxes that I assume are different cutter heads that you pop in and out. For like if I want to engrave, if I want to cut, if I want to 3D print, then I pop in this head. But they all can use the same CNC system, which makes sense. All of those systems, my little paper craft cutter over there, they all kind of have a similar mechanism that they're using.
Right.
A series of linear bearings and axes that they kind of go back and forth on. They follow some kind of like G code that cuts stuff. So it makes sense that you could pop a head on and pop a head off and do different things. But like John and I were discussing before we were recording, generally speaking in tech, if you want a quality product, you buy a tool that does a singular thing. Like in networking, for instance, you'll go like Comcast gives you some bullshit like router, modem, switch, all in one. It's like, if you're a real fat nerd, what you do is you get an individual switch, an individual router, and an individual modem, and wireless access points to do your wireless stuff. You get all individual things because they tend to perform better. Is that the case here? We don't know. That's more of a generalization.
Yeah, but it by and large, when you're focusing on doing one thing the best you can, you're only taking away of its potential or its capabilities if you're trying to make it also fit another mold to do another thing.
Right.
I just find it real hard to believe that you're going to like unsuck the Lego of the extruder and just pop in the CNC thing, and that like the precision, the exactitude that it performs at each of those tasks is going to be as good. You're like, oh, but honey, I didn't have to buy 3 different things at $1,000 each. Look how much money I saved us.
Saving money.
I just saved us $2,000 by buying this for $1,000. This is the consumer mindset that's done with this kind of stuff, and like, I don't know, maybe it's good. It says high resolution. Repeatability of the machine is at 0.005 millimeter, and the homing repeatability is 0.01 millimeter. So that's tied to. That doesn't. What are those related to? Which of those is 3D printing? Which of those is?
This is like whenever I get numbers like this in talking points for an ad, I always leave them out because like, what the fuck are they measuring? Right. Like, are they like in a lab situation where it's set up by the person who made the goddamn printer? It's like, are these realistic like errors for like your hobbyist who's going to get this and set it up in their garage on their table that's like uneven, missing a leg, like, so I don't know necessarily what that means. I don't know how to compare that to a different brand, like that's just marketing jargon to me.
Right. I mean, like I said before we started recording, if I want a car, I buy a car. If I want a boat, I buy a boat. I don't buy a duck.
Boat car.
A duck. If you don't know what a duck is, you've never been to Wisconsin Dells.
Dude, you haven't lived.
You haven't really lived. They have been other places. I think they have them down in a bayou as well.
Florida, I think.
Yeah, Florida, where it's like it's got wheels that can go on the road, and then you just go right into the water, and you go, as a boat. You're a boat car.
Boat car.
It's a boat car, right? There's a reason why we don't all drive around in boat cars, because that's not as good as just a car for car things or a boat for boat things. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. I've never tried this thing.
It does seem to make some sense because they all have a similar way of moving the mechanical head.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. All right. Number 2 is called the Dungeon Alchemist. This is AI map making software for your RPG game.
So it seems like the vitriol that our hobby has for AI does not necessarily cross over into the RPG hobby.
It does, but not as bad.
Not as bad, right? At least not as bad enough to the point where this thing would be our second highest in the last 4 or 5 years for this particular category. 2.9 milli, 37,000 backers.
Right. Yeah, 57,000. And because the highest back tier was called the Cartographer at only $35. So it only costs you $35 to back this, and it's 33,000. And I think that the difference here when we're talking about AI generated, it's kind of like you play Diablo games where the world is randomly generated.
Yeah.
Right? It's basically using AI to create an algorithm for you to do that, to create maps and stuff for your game. So I look at that less as art and more as a tool for you to create a unique environment for your game to play in that didn't require you to have to basically go beg, borrow, and steal online, which is what I usually do now, or come up with it yourself, which is what you did when you're a teenager and you had all the time in the world, and draw it out yourself. It's kind of like getting to the interesting, unique aspects, and I'm sure you can put in words and alter it and change it and be and add a kitchen somewhere in the room or in the dungeon, and add a throne room somewhere in the room, and add a rancor pit or whatever. You know what I mean? It can do it, and then it changes it quick and whatever. I view this as actually, I don't know, I'm sorry if this is a hot take, because I don't know exactly the full breakdown of what this thing does, but I view this as a solid use of AI because it's using it as a tool, not as a replacement of art. Now, it does have a visual component to it, so I can see that. And it has this kind of a bit of AI slop look to it, but it does look thematic and that kind of a thing.
Would you use this for your RPGs?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely I would. I mean, not 100%. I haven't read through the whole campaign and see if this is specifically something I would use.
But it's piqued your interest.
Yeah. Okay. There are dungeon generators and random dungeon generator kind of things out there that exist, and they have for a long time, and I've used those before, but they're not AI driven. So all you're saying with AI driven is just you're opening the world of potential and capabilities and possibilities with it, to be much more tailored to what exactly you want instead of just drag and dropping the limited options from a traditional one. So this is cool. Also, pretty minimal investment. The fact that they made that much money and the average funder was $35.
Not bad.
Is wild.
The actual one on Steam costs $45 now. It's a little bit more expensive than the one in the campaign. So you got save some bucks if you backed it.
Save some bucks. All right, the last one we've got on here. Last thing we're going to talk about. This is the thing that I backed last week. Scott, you got to back it with me. Come on, get on there. Get in there. Get yourself.
We'll discuss why or why not I may be backing this.
Let's discuss the NeoSander. NeoSander. Live until March 26th. So, from you listening to this, you could go back it yourself. Or don't. We don't make a nickel off of it, whether you do or not. I backed it myself because I want to try it for my own hobby. I'm skeptical, but I feel like there is enough talking points, especially when they broke down the innards of how the standing mechanism works.
I know they're like reciprocating saws are old tech.
Yep.
We have designed a new way to do reciprocating. And I was like, oh, have you?
Right.
Okay. This is at 2 million right now as of the recording. 11,000 backers. 11 days to go. And this is a tiny handheld reciprocating sander cutter. With a bunch of different heads you can put on it, with different grits of sandpaper, different shapes to fit in different areas. It's very cool. I want it, of course, but I don't think I'm gonna buy it.
You're just gonna be so jealous when I got mine. When I'm out here like sanding like a dream.
Like there's GIFs on the campaign, and it shows someone sanding mold lines off of a model with a tiny drum sander on a Dremel. I'm like, who the fuck does that?
Nobody.
And it like is eating the model. And it's
He's
like,
like
this is not a problem that a hobbyist is trying to solve, but the tool is cool. The one thing I do like about it is the reciprocating saw. Like that would be fun to just mow through some plastic parts. Yeah, just like, right. I would love that. But sanding, dude, we have the perfect tool already. It's called an X-Acto blade. Like, it can get into every nook and cranny that you want, and it can just shave off the barest amount of plastic with their lightest amount of pressure, and that's what you need for maximum dexterity, not anything like electrically powered.
Scott, does your X-Acto blade have 0.6 to 1.8 millimeter adjustable micro strokes? Let's talk about
I'll show you some fucking micro strokes.
Dude, the micro strokes on these are so fine-tuned.
We got some more tech jargon.
Right, yeah.
Oh, honey, the micro strokes.
Dude, it has ultra-fast motion, 13,000 SPM.
Ooh, SPM.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, neither do I.
They don't specify. Well, I'm sure they specify what SPM stands for. But
I'm sure that,
yeah, they have these GIFs of the reciprocating linear motor. The things that grabbed me were... the main thing was like you put different heads on, right? And so they have these heads that kind of look like a tiny little trowel. They're almost like triangle shaped.
Yeah.
And then you put on the grit of sandpaper and the size of sandpaper you want.
And they have replacement patches.
I
like that. That's cool.
And they have ones with foam. So
squishy.
So just like I love my fucking flexible sanding sticks, bro. I love them. So if they had like you'd want like a real high grit with a little layer of foam and that little like fucking laser diamond shaped trowel head, could I, in theory, go and just do all the mold lines just like a fucking dream, like new, done? That's in my head, best case scenario, okay? What are my thoughts, the odds that it will accomplish that? I give it a 15% likelihood chance that is happening. However, I spent, I don't know how much I spent. I backed it like $160 or something because they fucking get you with like getting the extra little head bits and all the different little things.
Yeah,
so I had to spend more than I wanted to spend. And I'm doing it for science. I'm doing it so I can test it. And I will let you know my honest opinion. I'm sure I'll do a video on it when I get it.
Absolutely.
To just so like, is this worth it or is it not? And I'm willing to throw the money down the toilet for it to not work.
It looks so cool. I love the way they have all the bits arranged by color of grit, like the little clear plastic heads. They look so cool, and like. There's definitely use for this outside our hobby, as far as I know, with like larger Gundam kits or larger like vehicles and airplanes and stuff like that. Like it makes sense to, like, if you want to get a nice smooth finish across a big like the body of an airplane, which is called what? I don't know what it's called. Anyways, but yeah, they're big and smooth and flat.
Shaft.
You want a smooth shaft, okay?
Right.
So that when you do your micro vibrations.
Microstrokes, dude.
Microstrokes. There's no friction.
Yeah, the key is to have many adjustable microstrokes across the shaft of your plane.
Yes.
It looks very comfortable to hold. It's kind of fatter.
A little fatty. Yeah.
It's fatter in the hand, almost like the size of a miniature holder, like a Redgrass Games miniature holder, and then it goes shink, goes right down.
Yeah.
You're right, like the saw thing. I'm like, I'll be able to use it for that, if for nothing else. You know, those. Yeah. Micro saws.
Yes, I agree. I cannot handle the late night television-esque ad of watching someone with a fucking rotary Dremel annihilating a model's hand. It's like, dude, or like just eating half of a shield. It's like, dude,
right? It's even like in black and white.
I know, yeah.
It's like it's made for TV.
I can't handle it, dude.
All they need is like the old lady that, like, after they cut from that, it's her face being like, oh,
She like falls out of her chair, like she drops Dremel like on her face, and then she like dies. Yeah,
fucking Adeptus mechanics go flying everywhere.
Yeah, that's what should have happened. Then to be clear that it's an obvious joke,
Right?
But yeah, I love this thing. I want it to be the best micro stroker that that you could possibly buy, but I don't think I'm gonna buy it for myself.
Oh my god. Yeah, I am. You're gonna have some FOMO, dude. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be micro stroking all day. I'm gonna fucking call you up in Discord. You're like, what are you doing? Dude, I've been micro stroking all day.
You're just gonna hold up the mic and be like, you hear that?
Yeah, that is 13,000 micro strokes per second, bud. Hey, you want me to switch it to 0.08 millimeters per microstroke? Done.
Did you get the premium combo?
Yeah.
129, 7,000 backers. John is one of them.
6,999 plus me.
Plus you. Yeah, the sanding tool, the multicolor sanding heads, sandpaper kit, charging dock, cables. And this is also 35% off MSRP, which is $200. So you save $70 by getting it now. 8 different grits, all kinds of different heads for different shapes. Wow. I'm losing money by not buying it.
Yeah, right. I think as soon as we drive to go get tendies, you're gonna be like, fuck, all right, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna be happy because I've used like I did buy like a cheap, it looked like a pen thing. It's from like Display. I don't know if you've heard of that company, like a Chinese company that does little hobby things. And it was like it looked like a pen, and it had the rotary. It was just a basic rotary thing on the end that it had sander options, but it didn't have these little groove options. And they work way too high of RPM, and they just eat through stuff, even on like the finest grit that they had, the lowest power setting I had. But when I think about like why I think this thing has potential, even though it's not from the same manufacturer, when I think about that drill that I got,
is it yellow Fantic?
No, I mean that thing is fucking awesome. But the little pen thing that I had for a while that I backed on Kickstarter that is for drilling barrel holes and stuff, it's like high torque, low speed. So it's like you have really good control, but you can just go through butter as much pressure as you put in it. I think I'm called like Magic Pen or something, but that's not exactly what it is. But like that was something that was a Kickstarter tool. And this is in the similar kind of vein as that. So I'm like, it has potential. I've seen success in other things. So yeah, there's also another weird one I got. They probably don't listen to this podcast, so I could talk about them. There's like this precision tool company out of the UK, and they had this thing, and it's like all like space station level precision in the engineering of all the bits, and it's a sexy thing that looks like a graphite pencil. It's heavy, it looks like a pencil, and it's got different heads you can switch off, including X-Acto blades and like surgery blades, and then you can also switch in for a pencil. You can switch out for a couple different things, for a little drill bit. It was just like a sexy multi-tool, and they reached out and said, would I want to use it on a video? I was like, well, I'll test it out and see if I think it's valuable. I had it, and they're expensive. They're $200. And when you have to switch it out, you have to switch out the blade in a way that is extremely dangerous, that you're dealing with a sharp blade. And I'm like, every time I switch something out, like I am scared as fuck. I'm just going to gash myself. And I was like, I told him like, I don't think it actually aids our hobby. We have a tool that is exactly this tool, and it doesn't have the versatility, but we don't need the other things, like you're saying. And honestly, tell me what I'm doing wrong to clip this thing, to clip and unclip this. And they're like, no, you're doing it right. And like, we just didn't experience that issue. And I'm like, all right, man. So, but they're coming out with a different thing that I am excited with. That it's like basically a clamp system. We talked about like having something clamped,
third hand
thing,
yeah.
And it looks like a fucking space cube, and it has all these different things that dials you can turn to like go around for a little pin or for bases or for sub assemblies or whatever. And then it had a swiveling notch where it could then attach to your table too.
Okay.
And so they were I'm like, I want that. And they were like, we're not close to manufacturing yet, but we'll send you one when we get one. I can't remember the name of this company. I'm not helping anybody here. But if that's good, you'll find out about it then, because I'll do a video on that. Because like we always talk about like one of the hardest things about painting on camera is that level of like consistency in holding your model and in not moving it.
Yes.
And if you can have it attached to your table so it's not moving, but I can still wrap my hand around this cube and still paint at the right position. Mm-hmm. And then you can like rotate the model around the cube fully articulated. I'm like, that sounds great. Now, if you're not painting on camera, I don't think it's probably worth it, but I want to test it out. Anyway, so much for our micro vibrations. So.
Was that the last one on the list?
That was it. We did it.
Welcome to the end of the podcast. Thank you for lasting all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed us chatting about Kickstarter campaigns and which ones are successful. Let us know if we missed any. Let us know what your thoughts were on the campaigns, whether it was the AI map generator or the Cosmere miniatures. Do you agree with John? Are they dog shit or are they better? I don't know.
Yeah, and also, like, are there other, in the last 3-4 years, Kickstarters related to this hobby that you have backed that maybe they didn't make the list, but you're like, they're really good ones, or like I'm really happy with it. Could be a game, could be models, could be a tool. Share that down below or post it on the Trapped Under Plastic Facebook group. If you're not a member of the Trapped Under Plastic Facebook group, join us over there. It's a great place to continue conversation, share your work in progress pics, get feedback, ask questions about the hobby, that kind of thing. That's a great thing and a nice little free benefit for hanging out with us here on the podcast.
If you want to support the podcast, we already mentioned previously that Patreon is a great option, but if you're not interested in that, you can also just share our podcast with other people that you think would enjoy it. You could give us a review wherever you're listening to podcast. You could pick up some of our merch on Teespring. We have shirts, sweaters, cups, all kinds of things with a variety of Trapped Under Plastic logos. All links down in the show notes or description below.
All right, we're going to be back in a fortnight, and that is going to be the last episode before the TUP Live episode. Oh, we're getting pumped. All right. Until then, we'll catch you on the
Flippity flop.